Hello, my name's Rev David Babbington and welcome to the wonderful St John's, Walsall Wood. And this is the inside of St John's. Now you may not be one of our usual parishioners here, but if you do decide to visit, you would receive a really warm welcome here in the West Midlands. Where's the West Midlands, you ask? The West Midlands is right in the centre, right in the middle, right in the heart of this magnificent, beautiful country. And that's where you will find this church, built in 1837, a church that has wonderful Gothic features and yet has a magnificent, airy, modern feel. An inclusive church where we will welcome everyone. But you've not come onto YouTube today to hear about this church. No, you've come onto YouTube today because you have received some of these.
And you'd like to know how to turn those into one of these.
This is Richard Coombs, who has designed and created our paper nativity for us. And now we're going to go next door to the vicarage where we're going to do step-by-step instructions for you, so as you can create one too.
Did you change your clothes from outside?
Shh, they'll never notice.
You've changed again.
Welcome to the vicarage. And so first of all, what I'm going to do is hand you over to Richard.
We're going to start by showing you the things we're going to be making. It's always good to have a nice close-up look at them. I've got the basic model. We're calling it the basic model. It's made with sheets 1 to 11. It's not quite the basic model because we have added the stars that come on bonus sheet 12. But this is the standard model.
And I've got the deluxe model.
That means David was lucky enough to have both the bonus sheets, so he's got the camels from the kings on one side and the innkeeper on the other. He's also got the angel stars all across the top. Now this isn't quite as deluxe as you can go. If you want to, when you finish building your model, whether you do the standard one or the deluxe, when you finish making it, if you want to stick it all onto several layers of corrugated cardboard to give you a nice thick base, see, that's much thicker, you'll then be able to stick on the trim that comes on bonus page 13, if you've got that bonus page. If not, it doesn't matter. You don't have to make the super duper one. The standard one is really quite good enough. It's rather lovely. I think now is the perfect time to ask you why you've been good enough to commission this.
Well, you might not be looking at this year. You might be looking at this next Christmas or the Christmas after, because we're hoping that this paper nativity will be here for many years to come.
But the year we actually began this project was 2020.
And 2020 has been a difficult year for everybody because of COVID, and therefore people have had to stay cooped up quite a bit, and we wanted to give them something to do.
And we haven't made it easy. This is deliberately quite a complicated thing. Well, we had a look online, we had a look at other nativities to see what was already around, and what we discovered was there's lots out there, they're very good, but they're mostly sort of one page that you fold and your stable is finished, a few characters to cut out and you're done.
Now, they're not bad. These are good things. We're not making fun of these things, but they weren't what we wanted to do.
And there were an awful lot of them out there. This isn't one of them. This is something I scribbled together. We didn't want to use anybody else's because we're really not making fun of those. They're absolutely perfect. They're perfect for the very young children, for the Diddy kids to colour in. Because these ones, really, they're all about the colouring in.
But what we wanted to do was something different. We wanted to do craft, and that involves using scissors and using glue. And therefore, it's a bigger project.
It's a sort of project that really is designed to take up a lot of time. It's designed to need a lot of patience. You will need patience. You will need to follow all the instructions on our video. It's a very simple step-by-step video. If you follow it with us, you won't have any trouble, but it will take you a lot of time. And there's two ways you can do this. You can make this project last you a whole day if you want to. And this time of year we get some really rotten weather, so you could get a rotten rainy day and say, right, I'm going to stay in all day today, I'm going to watch the video and I'm going to make this all in one day.
Or the other way that you can do it is to see it as an Advent project and therefore spread it out over a period of time, and we'll help you with that by spreading out what we're going to do over a period of time too. So therefore you can do that journey along with us. But what we're going to do now is start off with the sheets that you received in your pack.
And the first two are these, and these are the ground sheets. And as you can see, the base is in two halves. We're going to have to join those together. But that's your ground sheets.
And these two are my favourites. I've no idea why. Bless me.
Yeah, I thought you might like that one. Those were our two diorama sheets, and on top of the diorama goes the sky. I think David might quite like this one as well. Have a look at that. Nice close-up of our sky piece.
And these two are the first two pieces of our stable. And here we've got one half of the arch and the other half of the arch.
The next two sheets are also parts of the stable. There's quite a lot of pieces of the stable. These two have got what we call the Joseph wall, because there's half of Joseph on that piece. I know there's Mary on there as well, but they've called that one the Joseph wall, and this one we're calling the Gable, because it's got this great big gable on it, and it's the one with the spider in the middle.
And these two are another two of my favourites, because they've got the angels, they've got the kings, and they've got the wonderful star.
Now, if you've been keeping count, you'll realise we've shown you 11 sheets so far. Now, those 11 sheets comprise everything you need to make the standard model. Everything except a couple of pieces of cereal box cardboard just to make the base a bit firmer. But apart from that, those 11 sheets are all you need.
But at Walsall Wood, we like to go the extra mile, so we've decided to give you bonus sheets.
And the first of those bonus sheets, we'll call it number 12, is this one. Now on this one, you've got extra bits of the diorama just to make it a little bit wider, so you can put in the camels that go with the kings, and also on the other side, as David showed you on the deluxe version, the innkeeper. So this one, number 12, if you've got this one in your pack, you can have the camels and the innkeeper.
Now you may get this one in your pack, in which case you could decide to put the angels into the sky or put the frill around the corrugated cardboard base. You could decide to do both, or if you're feeling really generous, you might decide to use one of them and give the other piece to one of your friends.
Now, because we're packing the plastic envelopes ourselves with these sheets, we might just make a mistake every now and again, and you could get very, very lucky.
And you could end up with both bonus sheets in your pack. But first, what we're going to do is take a look at the tools that we need to embark upon this project together.
Well, apart from your nativity paper sheets, which obviously you've got, there are some basic tools that you will need. You'll definitely need some scissors, and it's up to you what size of scissors you like to use. And you will need something to crease your paper with. Now, you'll need a ruler. Doesn't matter whether it's metal or plastic, or a little piece of timber, straight edge wood, something from the shed if you've got it, but a ruler's the best. Most people have got a ruler. But you'll need something to score your paper with. So, when you want to make the scores, you can either do it against a ruler or you can do it freehand, and there are various things you can do that with. If you're lucky enough to be in a household where there are crafters, there are various paper folding tools available out there. These ones came from the range in a nice little set, and they do a nice little score on a piece of paper. But obviously not everyone's going to have those. For most of the demonstration, I'm going to be using this sculpting tool of mine, which I really like. It's just nice and easy. It's just a personal preference of mine. But if you haven't got any of those, and there's no reason why you should have any of those, everybody's got a teaspoon at home. You can do this just as well with a teaspoon. So you can make the creases with the handle of a teaspoon nice and safely, either on its own or against the ruler. So you'll need something to make your creases with. And you will also need a tube of glue. This is a small one. We should be able to do the whole thing out of one brand new tube of glue. As long as it's brand new, as long as it's nice and soft and not gone hard, you'll be all right. If you've got one of these that's been around in the house for a long time and it's gone dry, you want to get yourself a nice fresh one, sadly. If you get a fresh one tube should do the whole job. The other thing you could use, and this isn't necessary, is a couple of clips, either a bulldog clip or these sort of clips you find. You might have some of these in your dad's garden shed or your toolbox, you never know. Some of the people have got these new little clips which they use for hemming and sewing or craft work. If you've got just a couple of clips, there's a point in the middle when we're putting the roof on when that might be useful. If not, you can just use your fingers and be patient. So you don't necessarily need those. You do need the sheets, the scissors, a ruler and the glue and something to make the crease. Everybody's got a teaspoon. That is all you're going to need, apart from a couple of cereal boxes for the base.
So we'll start by looking at our base.
And David and I have both got one of our bases stuck onto cereal cardboard, because you will need to make this base a little bit firmer. So you'll need a cardboard box. In fact, you'll probably need two. We'll come to that in a minute. That's if you're making a base like this. If you're going the full hog and you're making the super duper one, you will need some corrugated cardboard to make a nice thick base to put the frill round. But we'll come to this later. We'll come back to this right at the very end of the video. We don't need this for now. For now, we're just going to concentrate on making a standard base. And as with every stage of this video, we're going to show you what we're making first before we make it, so you get a good idea of what we're doing. Right, let's get started. You're going to take your first 2 pages, the ground sheets, and we're going to start cutting. Now we're going to start cutting the pieces off the corners just to leave us the piece of the ground. Now here's a little tip. You need a piece of folded paper or a big envelope, or David and I have got a folder put by which we're going to call our dump. This is where we're going to dump any unneeded pieces to keep them safe, because once you start cutting pieces off of these sheets, you will lose them if you don't put them somewhere safe. Now what we're going to do for now is you're just going to cut them off roughly, and we're going to stick them into our dump to keep them safe. Otherwise, trust me, if you don't do that, you are going to lose these pieces. Especially if you're doing this project not in one day, but in 2 or 3 days. You'll wonder, where did I put that first piece that I cut off that very first sheet? I've gone and lost it. Well, you won't lose it if you stick it somewhere safe. So keep putting your cut off bits in, I say, what we're going to call our dump, and then you'll know it's absolutely safe. Now on the corner of this one, we've got a little shepherd, and we're going to cut that yellow line. We're going to cut right through the middle of that yellow line. So now we've got the shepherd part and we've got the ground part, and we haven't lost much of either. That yellow line was very big and very wide to let you cut that off easily. Now these sheep, don't worry about cutting them out properly. We're just going to cut round them quite big. What we need to leave is that little margin there, which is where we're going to join our 2 pieces of ground. So again, let's put the sheep into the dump pile. We know we've got that nice and safely. Our main aim now is to join these 2 together. There's an edge on this one. This is where you found us on YouTube. That's the address. This one has got the edge that you need to cut nice and neatly. Now I'll show you how to do that. We're just going to go in with our scissors and we're going to cut on the line. We're cutting some of it off and we're leaving some of it on. We're cutting quite finely on there. There's no big thick line for safety. We're just cutting around what we can see, because that is going to be where we join our 2 pieces together to make our ground piece. So now we're going to do our first piece of sticking. We've cut our pieces out and we're going to take our stick. Now, we're not sponsored by Pritt Stick,
But maybe we should be. Perhaps I'll send an email.
Now you'll be using ordinary clear glue. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to be using some of their coloured glue, because we can see where this goes. Now, I've not actually used this one before. I've normally used the ordinary glue myself, but we're going to go in here and we're going to put glue And as you can see, you know exactly where my glue's going because it's coloured. I don't know if that dries clear, but it's not important. For now, it's just more important for you to be able to see where the glue's going. Now, when you're doing this at home, please work on a couple of bits of newspaper or old paper. Don't work on your best kitchen table. Don't work on your dining table and make a mess. We're working on some green cardboard. But you don't work on your best furniture, otherwise you'll get in trouble. Work on a piece of paper and then you won't make a mess with the glue. The glue's very easy to clean, it's very good glue. Even so, you don't want to be making a mess. And there we are, I've stuck the two pieces together. So now we've got our ground. I haven't bothered cutting it out exactly. All I've done is remove the characters that we didn't need and put them into the dump pile. I've not trimmed it up cleanly. We'll do that in a minute. First of all though, we're going to mount that onto a piece of cardboard.
So now you need to stick this to some cardboard. And you might be thinking, I haven't got any cardboard at home. But you have.
Yes, you have. You've got lots of cardboard at home, trust me. If you look in your cupboards are full of cardboard. Cereal boxes are going to do really well for this project.
When I watched Blue Peter, they always covered up those trademarks. Doesn't matter here, we're not the BBC.
No, we're not. We can do what we like here. Just as well, really. Now, you're going to need 2 cereal boxes to make your base because it's going to be a double layer. And if you haven't finished off your cereal, if you're only halfway through, ask your grown-ups, and if they're very kind, they'll let you put your cereal back in the cupboard, just in the packet, so you can have the cardboard. You haven't got to eat all the cereal just to get your cardboard.
Nobody told me that.
More tea, Vicar?
Oh, you had to say it.
Yes, I did. I've always wanted to say that. Right, we're now going to cut open our cereal box. Now, you might think this is obvious, but I'm going to show you anyway. Find your cereal box, find where it joins, because it's always got a joiny edge. Just go up there, chop your cereal box all the way up the long edge. When you've got to the long edge, work your way around the short edges and it will open up. Yeah, and you'll see it's a lovely piece of cardboard. It's all these boxes, they're made of beautiful quality cardboard. No point going out to the craft shop and buying expensive cardboard. You've got plenty of this at home. Let's have a look round, find out where the edge is. There it is. There's the join. So I'm going to go in with the scissors once more, cut along the long edge, and then just keep turning the box round each of the short edges. This is a really big one actually. Nice big piece of cardboard, this one. There you are. And in fact that piece is long enough to do our base all in one. But most cereal boxes aren't that wide, so for the first layer or the second layer you're going to have to do some joining. I'm going to show you now how to join your cardboard and stick it down to make a nice firm base. Now this cereal box is absolutely enormous, so I have been able to cut away a piece, and this piece is quite large enough to take our ground. So there we are, I'll put our stable ground on there and it's plenty big enough. Now most cereal boxes are not big enough to do that with. Other cereal boxes are a lot smaller and we're going to need more than a whole cereal box to do the second layer. So we've got one piece, 2 pieces, we'll join those in a minute, and we'll take another cereal box. So to do this could take you 3 cereal boxes or 2.5 cereal boxes, but it's worth doing because it's good to have a nice strong base to put our model on. Once we built it, you'll be glad you put it onto a nice strong piece of cardboard. Now it won't quite fit that way, it's still not enough, so we're going to join these bits of cardboard like that to make our second layer. We're going to glue those on and that will give us a nice strong layer. Right, so that's our bits of cardboard prepared. Now we need to stick them together, but first of all we need to make some joins. You could try and cut your pieces of cardboard straight, but that doesn't actually make a very strong join. What's much stronger is if you do a wibbly wobbly line and do a wibbly wobbly join. There are 2 ways of doing this. You can cut your first one freehand, put it on top of your second piece of cardboard and mark that line. Then all you have to do is cut that out and you'll have a nice strong join. That will stick together much more strongly and give you a much stronger base than if you've just done a single cut. So that's how you can join two bits of cardboard together with a wibbly wobbly line that you cut out having marked it first. Here's a more fun way of doing it. We're doing exactly the same thing that we've just done, but we're doing it a slightly different way. What we're going to do is we're going to put some of this glue down one edge of a piece of cardboard. We're going to take another piece of cardboard and we're going to put them together. Now all we're doing, I'll give you a quick press on the table, all we're doing is we're tacking these together. We're not sticking them together strongly. Pritt stick is a good glue because it achieves its strength after a short amount of time, but right now you can peel the two pieces apart. It doesn't stick instantly like some other glues do. It takes a while for it to get its strength. So now while this isn't properly stuck together, we can cut through both pieces of cardboard at the same time, and we're just making a very random wibbly wobbly line, either straight cuts and a zigzag or a curvy line. Mind your fingers, turn it round, whatever you want, a very random zigzag line. And what you'll find is you've got bits of cardboard on both sides. If you just peel away the bits you don't want off of each side, what you've done now is you've made a cut that's absolutely perfect with both bits of cardboard. It's much more accurate than cutting one and marking the other. So that's another way of joining two bits of cardboard together. I've done that on our ground sheet and I'm now going to stick it down. So let's stick these down. We're going to move these off there, because ideally we'd like the blank cardboard under our model, so we'll turn it over. And again, we'll risk a little bit of advertising, but there we go. Now we're going to take the first of our pieces. That's that join there, and we're going to put this one here. Now, again, I'm going to use the glue that you can see what I'm doing. As long as there's a nice bit of glue on the join that we've cut, and plenty across the middle, it doesn't have to be all over your cardboard. Now when you're using the clear glue, you won't get these bits that show. That's okay. Now we're going to take our glue and we're going to work into that join and just start spreading across. This does use quite a bit of glue, but you will find that the tube of glue is a lot cheaper than going and buying a sheet of cardboard from the art shop. So spending your money on the glue and using the free cardboard from home is better than going and buying a thick bit of cardboard, because this is cheaper than the cardboard. And everybody's got this cardboard at home, and we're doing our bit here for recycling. So now we're coming to about that far, but that's okay, because we're going to put the glue on this edge of the card. That will be enough. So now when we join these together, we've already got the glue here. We find our wibbly wobbly join and match it up perfectly. Stick this one down, do a bit of spreading to push it down, there we are. Move it over and do the same again. A bit of glue down the wibbly wobbly join, spread it across. Again, it doesn't need to be full coverage. Now when you press that down, you've got a piece of cardboard that's 2 layers thick and very strong enough to put our base on.
So don't say you don't get spoiled at St John's Walsall Wood. A new way to join cardboard together. Now all we've got to do is join the base to the card.
Right, I'm going to be using the coloured glue again because you can see what I'm doing. So, the important place is along the join where the 2 pieces of our paper nativity have joined. That's an important place to do. And all round the edges, that's an important place to do. Even though we haven't cut these out accurately yet, you'll still be very near the edge of the design when you're near the edge of the paper. So make sure the edges are done. You can see now while we work on a piece of newspaper on the table, or we work on a piece of scrap cardboard, because you can make a bit of a mess with the glue. So you don't want to be doing this on a tabletop. Now, we're just putting a few lines of glue over the whole piece. We're not covering it completely, we're not covering it 100% with glue. It doesn't need it really, it's perfectly strong enough if you just do a few lines. So we've done all the edges, we've done the join, that should be plenty. So now let's flip it over, stick it onto our cardboard and flatten it out. You do get a bit of glue on your hands. It doesn't show when it's the clear glue, but it does show with the coloured glue. But it washes off very well. That's the other good thing about Pritt Stick. It washes out of clothing and it washes off your hands very easily. So there we are. We'll press that down nice and firmly. And now you've got one of the bases like we showed you in the beginning.
If you can be patient, it'll be much easier to cut out if you leave it overnight to dry. So we'll leave Richard's there, and in the meantime we'll use these ones instead. Or, as I'd like to say,
here's one I made earlier.
Get down, Shep.
I heard you doing your John Noakes earlier. Honestly, you'll be wearing silly jumpers next.
Cut it out.
Eh?
Cut it out.
All right. So we're going to set that one aside and bring in the one we made earlier. As you can see, this one has got the joins on both sides because I didn't have a box quite as big as the other one. So this one has serial box joins on both layers of the cardboard, but as it's had overnight to dry, it's now very, very strong and we can set about cutting it out. You can make this easy for yourself by first of all just getting rid of the excess. It's much easier to cut it out accurately if you take away all the big stuff first. This will let you right into where you want to be for your next lot of cutting. Now obviously if you've got younger children and they're doing this, they might struggle with cutting through 2 layers of cardboard and the thick layer of our paper. It's quite easy for older children and it's quite easy for grown-ups, but this might be a part of the process that you want to help and supervise with if you've got much younger children. So let's set these aside, put these into our rubbish bin or into your recycling bin, it's even better. And now we're going to go around and trim up the edges properly. Like I say, it's worth taking away the excess first because it's much easier to get in now and cut out the joins nice and neatly. I've got a sneaky feeling that when Rev David edits this, he's going to do a crafty speed up at this point. And on the home stretch, we've come back to real time. So that didn't take very long at all. There we are. We've now got our base. It's on nice strong cardboard and we're ready to start building. I knew I shouldn't have mentioned silly jumpers.
I think it's rather festive.
Very nice actually, suits him. Now then, we're moving on, and as we promised, we're going to show you what we're doing before we do it. So the next stage of the build is going to take you that far. We're going to put the diorama onto the base, which means first of all, we've got to cut these pieces out, we've got to score them, and we've got to stick them together. We'll take you stage by stage through that. First off is going to be the scoring.
Birmingham City 0, Walsall 3. Oh, wrong type of scoring.
Well, to make our background diorama, we're going to need these 3 pieces. The sky, which we'll set aside for a moment, and these 2 pieces that make the background. We're going to have to do a little bit of scoring. This is the first time we're going to do any in the whole of the build. So we can either use this, or that, or our spoon. You'll probably all have spoons, so I think it's only fair I start with a spoon. There are score lines marked on the pictures, and everywhere there's a tab, there's also a score line. So let's start along the bottom there. You'll find it's much easier to do all the scoring on all the sheets before you cut anything out. I would advise that all the way along. Score before you cut. Here's a line, you can see it's quite faint. We're going to put our ruler up there. You can always see where it is because the tabs let you know where the score lines are. So take it from the tabs at the bottom, line it up, and just a couple of gentle times down with a spoon. Now you will see why we need to be working on some newspaper or a piece of scrap cardboard, because you don't want to be making dents in your best dining room table. So please, we don't want anyone writing in to say our dining room table's been distorted by your nativity. We've got score lines all down it. We have warned you, work on a piece of scrap cardboard or on a few sheets of newspaper or magazine. That will help you do your scoring without doing any damage. There we are, there's another one. And the last one we're going to do down here. Again, we're going to go from the edge of the tab line down here. That's that one scored. We're going to do the same on the other one. Again, there's more tabs on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. The tab lines and the score lines are a bit easier to see on this one. I'll just do a couple. And I've got a sneaky feeling we might speed up again. And now we're going to do the scores on the sky. It's really only this one here. That's all you need. It's well marked, nice and easy to see. I'm going to switch to using this now. This is something from the range. If you're a crafter, you might have one of these. But I have proved that a teaspoon works just as well. Right, so now we're going to do some cutting out. This piece we're going to cut out all the way round the top of the garland, like that. And now with this piece, we're going to cut along the top of the yellow here and across the tree. And we're also going to take the white off this piece of blue. So we're just going to cut on the edge of the blue, just enough to be getting rid of the white. But don't cut too far into the blue, because you're going to need all of that. Set that aside. And on this piece, we're just going to round the corners off a little bit. Now we're not going to waste this bit, because it's got Rev David on it.
Yes, I do like that one. I've got my Vicar Teddy with me.
Let's take our sky. What we're going to do first is we're going to fold along our line. You'll find some of these bigger folds are easier to do with a ruler. Just put them there and then gently ease your paper over the ruler. That's given us a nice crease. And what we're going to do is we're going to tuck our sky into that and stick it down. So again, I'm going to use the glue where you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to run a little bit of glue up there, a little bit of glue along there, a little bit of glue along there. Lovely. And then we're going to fold our sky into that little sandwich. So with the blue at the front, pop the sky in. So as you can see, I'm just tucking the sky into its own little pocket there. And there's the message from David Babbington.
Yes, it's true. Everybody here at St John's, Walsall Wood wishes you a very Merry Christmas.
And our last little job on this piece is to cut out the little white V's in there. Now, there are 3 ways you can have your sky, and we're going to show you those now. As you probably realise by now, there are various different ways you can finish off this diorama.
Yes, the first way is using the angels from bonus sheet number 13, like Richard has.
Yes, just like this one here.
Or you can choose to leave the sky plain like this one. It's a bit of a classy look.
And there is a third way. If you've decided you're not going to put the Christmas garlands onto your stable, and we haven't put them on this one, if you're going to leave it bare like this, which is quite a nice look, then you can leave the Christmas garland on your diorama. So we won't cut that off, we'll leave it on. And we've just popped on the little piece that came off the very first sheet that was in your dump pile onto the top. So that's a third look if you want to do it that way. So if you're choosing to have your garland on your stable, we're going to have to take it off the sheet now. So we're going in and we're cutting around the garland. There we are. There's our garland. We've left these pieces on, don't cut them off. It all helps with the gluing, leave everything there. Now this piece, you're going to need it much later on. So in order that you don't lose it, we're going to stick it into our dump. Here's our other pieces that we cut off the ground. The sheep, bits and a bit of garland already, all that stuff. Put it back in your dump and you won't lose it. Yours might be an envelope, it might be a bit of folded paper, it might be the plastic bag the whole lot came in, but wherever you're keeping your stuff, do remember to save all the bits you cut off. Don't lose any piece, they're all absolutely crucial. Right, so there's our sky piece prepared. We're now going to prepare our 2 side pieces. I'm going to go in and cut these pieces off of the sheet. I'm just going to nick in around there. Again, set those aside. And the same with this one. Very important, set those aside. Don't lose them. Right, we're just going to trim the edge off. And you can leave both these uncut, leave them exactly as they are. Let's do the tabs. Now, when it comes to cutting out tabs, the easiest thing to do is to cut right across the bottom, and then afterwards just take out the little V's that are left. On these tabs you can be quite generous with where you cut, because they are all a little bit oversized. There we are. That's the easiest way to do tabs. Luckily I'm going to show you again, because we'll do it on this one. You can of course cut in and out if you want to, but it's much harder. This is the much simpler way of doing it. Just cut right across the bottom, take that piece off and nip in and just cut out each individual piece like that. There we are. We're now going to fold these and fix them to the base. Right, so we're ready to start bending and folding and gluing. We'll just fold that piece back, and it says fold back and glue for strength, fold behind and glue for strength. So we're going to pop some glue in there. You can see with the coloured glue how much I'm using, not very much. Fold it and pop it down. Now you can use your spoon or your bender just to flatten it out a little bit, it does help. Turn it over, use that one this time. There we are. That's given us a nice strong edge along there. Now you can go in and just take out that little white V there. Leave the red lines on, just cut out the white piece and that'll give you somewhere to join the two together. Now we're going to fold these. I would say with your folds, fold them both ways. The paper's very strong, it's good strong, 250 gram paper, nice and strong, so it won't snap, it won't break, as long as what you've used to score isn't too sharp and the spoon isn't very sharp, the handle of the spoon, it won't snap if you bend it too many times. So do just bend all your tabs both ways, and then you'll be able to assemble your model nice and easily. These ones all fold forward. I didn't score that one. Look, I've missed one already. Just shows you. So I'll now have to score this now it's been cut. You can score them after you've cut them. I just think it's easier to do it before you cut them out. There, just shows you. I've missed one already. Right, those are fine now. Now they fold. There you are. Anyone can make a mistake, but as Bob Ross used to say, there's no such thing as a mistake, just happy accidents. Right, we'll fold them both ways, just to get them nice and flexible. There we are. That's the first part done.
Now we're going to do the same with the other half of the diorama.
Right, we're going to do the same, but as you've already seen it, we'll speed this one up. So, we've done the second piece exactly the same as we did the first piece. We've cut out the little V's, we're ready to go. Well, not quite, because this piece here doesn't look like it belongs as part of this diorama, and we're going to fix that now. So, if you go back to your dump, where you've kept all your bits, you're going to be looking for this piece. This is a jigsaw puzzle piece that goes on there. So let's do a quick cut out. There you are. So this now becomes like a little jigsaw puzzle. You've got a piece and you've got a piece missing. So we're going to pop that on there. That's where that goes. You can see how it fits. It joins up nicely. Join the canopy up in this pink bit here and you'll get it to line up beautifully. But we don't want to glue in this central area. We just want to glue round here. So I'm going to put a little glue on there, just a bit, and on this other side I'm just going to touch around the edges very, very lightly. This is where this coloured glue comes in handy. You can see exactly what I'm doing and exactly where I'm not putting any glue. It's going mostly on the table at the moment, but that's all right. So now here we go, bit of jigsaw puzzling. Jigsaw puzzlers among you will love this. There we are. We're just going to keep moving the picture around till we get it to line up the best we can. I think that will do nicely. And when we're happy with it, we're going to give it a quick push. There's a little bit of that corner showing there. That's all right. Give it a nice push down. And we've patched in the missing piece. We just want to finish off our score lines here. So we're going to take that with the ruler. I'm going to use my favourite scorer now. This is a sculpting tool. And just do those lines again. There we are. Now we can fold the whole piece and those patches should stay in place. You'll see in a little while what these patches are for.
Now all the parts are folded, let's assemble it.
We need all these three pieces that we've just prepared. And you'll now find out what these little V's are for. We're going to glue each piece together using that V as a registration point. So, let's put some glue on this part. And let's pop a little bit of glue on the top edge of that part. Now we can put our pieces together. Putting these V's together like that. Now you can see it doesn't matter that we've cut the garland out because we're covering that whole area up. What you want here is a nice square 90-degree join. If you're having any kind of trouble lining that up, use one of your other sheets. Just check that that's nice and square. I can see by using that we've done a good job there. So that one's glued. And we do the same on the other side. We're going to line up our V's. So we're going to put some glue just on this part. A little bit of glue on there. Turn it over and put some glue on that edge of that piece. And again, putting the V's together, we're going to join it up. And when we've got them together, if you need to, just take your other piece and check the 90 degrees, nice and square join. We've got that pretty well. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to press it down. Now, that's joined together. We can just trim off these tiny pieces now. Apart from that, we've joined up nicely and we're good to go. Now, if you flip that over, you'll see that we don't waste any of our paper. We're going to take this lovely piece with the Rev David on, and we're going to stick it onto here. So I'm afraid we're going to cover up his lovely message. So once more, if you want, David.
It really is worth repeating. We wish all of you a very Merry Christmas.
Right. So, again, I'm using the coloured glue. You can see what I'm doing. We're going to put some glue right along that lovely Christmas message. We're going to put a little bit of glue in these corners. Try not to use too much glue. There we are. We'll scrape it back in. Turn these over and we're just going to put a little bit of glue down those edges. There. Now what that lets us do is stick that onto the back there. Now if you're roughly in the right place, you'll see there's a couple of little markers there, little purple lines by David's sleeve and by the T of Nativity. If you've made your model roughly right, those should line up with your edges. It doesn't matter if they don't, they won't be too far out, but it's just at this point, just lets you know you're doing okay. And we stick that on, and that gives the whole model a bit of extra strength. That's all lovely and joined now. If we turn it back over, we can see the beginnings of our diorama. And obviously, we've got to fill these pieces back in because we don't want any white showing.
As long as you've been squirreling them away, you'll find all the parts that you need inside your dump file.
Yes, you can now see how important it is to keep all your pieces together. Here's the bits we've just cut off, these diorama pieces. There's that one that went there, and this one that came from there. This one has got Archangel Gabriel on. We'll do this piece first. So let's cut round this little piece. Now do remember to put this bit back inside your dump folder. You don't want to lose that, you will need that later. And we're going to do the same again with this piece. There we go, that's another piece. I'll just trim the excess off. And don't forget to put your extra pieces back inside your dump folder. You will need that later. There we go. So now these pieces are to cover up this white. Not all of it, the bit in the middle stays. But again, we're going to play jigsaw puzzles. We're going to put these on here till they fit and glue them down. So let's do this one first. Let's put a little bit of glue on the white paper that's showing. Let's turn this one over and put a little bit of glue just around the edge. That'll be enough. So now we're going to go jigsaw puzzling. We're going to try and match up the picture. I'm happy with that, just about there and there. And we're just going to push it down. This coloured glue does wipe off, but you'll have a much easier time with your clear glue. That's not a bad joint, it's a bit wobbly there, but it'll do. That's half of our diorama. We're now going to put this piece here, so we'll do exactly the same. There we are. We're just going to line that up. If you like jigsaw puzzles, you'll like these little moments in our assembly. There's a few more to come where you have to line the pictures up. But there we are. We've got 1, 2, 3 jigsaw puzzle pieces that have just completed the picture.
So to finish off our sky, we need our musical angels, and here they are. Now, any of you who may have visited Lichfield Cathedral, you may have found a wonderful treasure there, a stone angel called the Lichfield Angel, and we've cheekily modelled ours upon him. So I'm going to cut around him now. Going to cut around both our angels, and whilst I'm here, I'm going to cut around our 3 kings in the moon. So, when you've done that, you take your Mary and you pop her inside your dump so as you don't lose her. And then you set about cutting out the other pieces so as you can pop your halo and the shepherd back inside your dump too. So there we are. So now we're cutting those roughly, and we pop the other 2 pieces, the halo and the shepherd, inside the dump there. So we're left with our 2 angels and the moon with the kings in. It's always easier to cut them out roughly at first, so as you can make sure you don't make any mistakes. So now I'll cut them out neatly. So there we have it. And so we have our 2 angels.
If you're leaving your sky plain blue, and that's a very classy look, then we're going to put the cherubs on. But first of all, we're just going to have to trim off any little pieces that we don't want to see, like that piece there. That side's okay. Just to tidy up the curve of the sky because we're leaving it plain blue. Then all we would do is take our cherubs, our singing angels. Now you can put these facing in or facing out, it's up to you. And we're going to stick them over that join there. We're going to cover up the missing bits of sky and those V marks that we use to line up our diorama. So we're going to glue them onto there like that, facing out if you want to. Or we're going to glue them like that, facing in if you want to. Whichever way around you do it, try and line these angels up so that they're facing nice and symmetrically. That's if you're having a plain sky. If you were lucky and you had one of these as your bonus sheets, then you'll know you've got these extra angels that you can decorate the sky with first. I'm going to save us the time of all the cutting out because you now know how to cut things out, and I've got some I prepared earlier. So let's see what we do with these. This is if you have these. You might not have these, so you might just leave the sky plain. But if you do have these, we're going to pop these on first, like that, and like that. And then we're going to stick our angels over the top, like that. Well, that's those just placed that way. So now I'm going to take them off and I'm going to glue them.
Let's get gluing. I really must try and get some sponsorship.
But we'll do it very fast. So, There we are. That now is our full diorama ready to glue to the board.
So now our dioramas are complete, however you've chosen to finish them.
I finished mine with the angels across the top.
And I've kept mine nice, plain and simple.
But we're still going to carry on in exactly the same way, and we're going to do it together. As you know, they're creased and folded and ready to go. Now we could put the glue on the tabs on the diorama. We're not going to do that because there's an easier way. So we'll put these down. We're going to take our glue. You're going to have a coloured glue as well, so we can all see what we're doing. We're going to put the glue onto the board instead. We're going to go just from my shoulder and just from my hand all the way around the outside edges at the back. We're going to put the glue directly onto the base. It's much easier. So we're just going to go on there and put some glue directly onto the base. Nice big full width of the tube of glue. Ours might show a little bit because it's coloured. Yours is white glue, invisible glue, so it won't. I think this dries invisibly. Are you done?
There we are.
You're done, lovely. Right, so now we're going to offer up our base to the board. And what we're going to do is we're going to put these corners, where it folds, into the corners on the board. Now they might be slightly bigger or slightly smaller than our base. It just depends how we've managed to put these together. They'll be different every time. So we're going to stand it up. Let's stand it on the table first. You can see how it's supposed to go. Fold your sides in. There we are. Fold it in like that so it's like a little theatre. There we are. That's the shape. And we're just going to drop it onto the board. And just check your edges with your board so you're roughly the same shape as your board. There we are. It sort of fits. The board's a little bigger than the scenery, but it does take the right shape. Once you're in roughly the right place, you can take your spoon or your folder and just crease down on your flaps there, and it will stick them down nice and solidly. Pressing down with your fingers good as well. You don't necessarily need to use a tool. Just give it a little bit of a squeeze and just keep adjusting till you've got your backdrop fitting the baseboard. The fit might not be perfect, but as long as it's taking the same shape, it'll all work out quite nicely. And it should now, once you've got it glued down, it should all stand up on its board. You should be able to pick it up with a nice solid cardboard base that we've got, and it won't fall off.
Even I've done it.
And you've never done it before, have you?
I've never done it before. Wow.
I've made a few already, so I've had practice. You've genuinely never done that before?
No, that's the first time.
First time.
I'm quite impressed.
I'm quite impressed as well. So there we are. Now that, I would say, for you, is a good place to stop if you're doing this like an advent calendar. So that would be the end of your day 2, because day 1, you made your baseboard. Day 2, you've made your diorama and stuck it down, and it's good to let that dry overnight.
So that's a good place to stop. And if you're doing this as an advent calendar, maybe this is a nice time to put your tools down now, and we can all start off again tomorrow. Now, I'm going off to bed. Night.
Hello! And welcome to your next day of building your Walsall Wood paper nativity.
What are you wearing?
Christmas jumper.
But I'm still wearing the same jumper.
It's not my fault. Right, what have you got there? Is that what we built before?
Yes.
Right, well, let's add some stable to our diorama then. Let's get stabling. You could have changed your jumper, you know.
You should have told me.
These are the first bits that we're going to be adding to the stable. We've got our arch and our cow that goes in behind the arch. Now, you'll find these pieces on these sheets. Half the arch is on this one. Half the arch is on this one. And the cow is on this sheet here. But as you already know, David's cut these out already on his sheet. So you'll find that piece in your dump file. There it is, there. So I'll cut that one out really quickly. Right, I'll show you scoring just one more time. and then we're going to jump from scoring every time we make a new piece. We won't show you every time, otherwise this video will end up being a whole day long. There's a bit of a score. And there's a bit of a score.
Bolton Wanderers 0, Walsall Wood 30. Oh, it's the same joke as yesterday.
It's the same Christmas jumper as well.
Cheeky.
And there's the piece cut out, because we're going to start speeding through the cutting out now, because you really don't need to see all the cutting out now. Like David said, it's easier to cut these things out roughly first and then cut them out properly. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and do our scoring. So there's one line from the tab, there's another one, and there's a little one here on that strength tab. And there's also one across the top of this tab. Now we'll cut it out properly. Now these pieces, I can't emphasize enough, very important. We've got the cat and part of a turkey wing. They really must go back into your dump file, because you don't want to be losing those. So there's one half of the arch, and on this one you want to do all the scoring and then cut it out. So like, right, so you've now got your two pieces of the arch, and they're scored and they're ready to go. But first of all, we're going to have to join them together. Again, got a little bit of jigsaw puzzling, and that's because this whole piece wouldn't fit on a sheet. It was far too big. So we've got a little bit of jigsaw puzzling to do. I'm going to put this one onto that one. You can see where the picture joins. It's very easy. You can see where the line joins. There you go. And if you've done it right, and if you've already scored both parts, they should fold together nice and easily. And that's the piece we're going to be adding the roof to later. So we've got that. Now we're just going to fold them on our scores. Again, we're going to fold them every way, forward and back, to make the folds nice and loose. That'll make putting the model together easier. Now this one has got several scores. You'll see that written on the sheet. So we're going to just give that a nice fold. You'll see why when we assemble that. That needs a little bit of flexibility on that part. This one's a straight bend. There we are, those are scored. This last piece is easy to score, it's so small. Score and fold. And these pieces are ready for putting on the model.
I've done it! Isn't it lovely? I'm at the back and the front, I'm all over it.
It's wrong.
What?
You've done it wrong. You haven't followed the instructions, have you?
What instructions?
The video.
What video?
This video.
Oh.
So now we're going to put the first piece of our stable onto our model. So, here's our baseboard. And everything is marked out with words where it goes. And this is our arch. There's the broom. So we've got arch, broom, arch, low stone, that's this one. So this will fold and sit on there. Now if you follow the outline of the lines on the ground, you won't have any trouble. And just like before, we're going to put the glue onto the base rather than onto the piece, because it's much easier. And again, with the coloured glue, you'll see just how messy I'm being with this glue. With the clear glue, it dries clear and you won't see any of that. So you just put a dollop of glue onto your panels and you line your tabs up. From above, it's easy to see where you go. What you want to be doing is making sure from above that your outlines are matching. Now this is quite easy to look at from the back of the model because you've got a hole to look through, so you can double check what you're doing from behind. You can just slide them into position until they feel right. You'll see them line up perfectly with the lines on the ground. When they're in the right place, just give them a bit of an extra press with your finger and they will stay put. So now we're going to add the cow wall in behind here. Here it is. This time we're going to put some glue on the actual piece itself, behind that tab. You know it goes behind that one because it's coloured like the ground. And now you just pop it in. It goes in behind and it just touches the side wall, and you press the two together with your fingers like that and it will stay put. And there's the first part of your stable in position.
So that's one piece of stable done. Just a few more pieces to go.
The next piece we need to find is on this sheet, and you haven't cut anything out from this one yet, and we're looking for this little piece here, which we're calling the stump. There it is cut out, because we don't need to show you all the cutting out anymore. You're getting good at the cutting out. Just mind the chicken and go around there and cut it out, and there you are. It's already folded. That little cross there means don't fold it down there, fold it here. So that's where that one folds. And now we're going to pop a bit of glue on the back of that for strength. Any of those tabs that have got strength written on them means they need folding back, and it creates extra strength with a double layer of paper. So there we are, that's our strength done. Turn it over, crease it both ways just to make sure it's moving. There you are. And the tabs, of course, they fold forwards. And this little corner piece, it fits here, stone stump. And it literally just glues into place there, like you've done before. That side of the stable's coming together rather well. So I think we probably ought to do this side. What do you reckon?
It's going ever so well, isn't it? New jumper. Just saying.
Now we're going to do the next piece of the stable on this side. So we'll move that out of the way and we'll have a look at what we're going to be making. I promised you we'd show you what we were making before we assembled it. This is what we're going to be making. This whole piece will fit into that gap on the stable. So that's what we're going to be doing, and you'll find these pieces. One of them is on this sheet. That's the piece we're after. But your sheet now looks like this because we've already cut the stone stump out. So now you want to cut out this piece here. As if by magic, it's partly cut out and it's fully cut out. We're speeding up now. The next piece you're looking for is on this piece here, and it's the donkey. Only your sheet now looks like this because we've already cut a piece from it. So we're going to cut out the donkey, and as if by magic it's cut out roughly, and as if by magic we've separated our little piece on the side. Now you know what I'm going to say, you don't want to lose that. You know exactly where it's going by now. It's going in there. So now let's score this piece and cut it out properly. Kabam! There we are. Miracles happen easily when you're working with a vicar. So we've got those two pieces. Now we need our great big gable. Now this one is on that sheet there. Now you haven't cut anything at all from this sheet. This sheet is still whole, but not for long. We're going to have this piece out and we're going to save that piece that comes on the corner back into the dump. So here we go. There we are. And we're just going to separate this piece. There we are. And you know exactly where that's going. It's going in there. So now let's score that up and cut it out. Now, with this piece, you've got two choices. You can leave this tiny little detail in like it is there if you don't want to do the fiddly cutting out, or if you're a bit older and able to, you can take this piece out and put a hole in the middle. If you're going to do that, just bend the piece slightly, take your scissors and do a little snip right in the middle. That's giving you somewhere to put your scissors in. Don't go trying to poke your scissors in because you'll hurt yourself. Make the cut by folding it and snipping it. That way you can safely go in with your scissors, and now you can cut out that little triangle in the middle. That will give you the appearance of the model being a bit more three-dimensional than it actually is. But if you don't want to cut this piece out, you can still make the model by leaving it in. It's all up to you. But there we are. That's our last piece of those.
So let's join those 3 stable pieces together to make them even more stable. I think I'll have a mince pie.
Yes, we're going to glue them together to make something like that. So here they are. I put a little bit of glue down that tab, a little bit of glue down that tab, and now we can put them together. They should fit together really well because the sides are all exactly the same size, so you'll have no trouble lining those up and pressing them down, lining those 2 up and pressing them down. And now you've got your single piece. You've already scored them, but as we've just put them together, let's give them an extra little fold just to make sure that they're all together and fold in nicely. There we are. Now we've got a couple of bits that are strength pieces there and there that need gluing for strength, and that will make that piece much stronger when we put it on our model.
Do you know, I can only see half of Joseph on that wall.
Is that nice?
Lovely.
Yes, indeed, David. We've only got half a Joseph here, so we want to go back to this sheet that you've got. You've already cut some off of it, and you will see that there's a Joseph here. I'm not going to cut it out for you because you know how to cut things out by now, but there's your Joseph, and he's going to join onto here. This will give us a 3-dimensional Joseph on the wall. Now I'm just going to score him because I haven't done that yet. Right down the middle. And pop a little bit of glue just on there, and a tiny bit of glue on that thin edge there, and pop our Joseph together. I'm also going to put a bit of glue on the beam. That way, when we've stuck him on, and this is another bit of jigsaw puzzling, you just pop him together till he fits and stick the bit on the beam. And I've nicked a little piece out there, as you can see, so I can just fold him and fold the tab, and our Joseph will now be 3-dimensional on the wall. He won't just be a flat drawing. He's got a bit of shape to him. So that's Joseph done. So let's go ahead and pop that onto the model, just like we did before. You've got these lines here, so we're going to go ahead and put the glue on the floor, just like we did before. That's the bit that says Gable, Donkey, Joseph, Joseph mini wall. And we're also going to pop some glue up this foldy flap that's left on the stone arch. Just going to go in, put our fingers behind to hold it steady, put some glue on there, because wherever that touches the gable wall, that will need to join. So here we go. We've got our glue in position. We've got our piece ready. It's all bendy. Didn't bend that one back. Let's bend that one back. There we are. And we're going to bend our tabs. Now we can put this in position, and just like before, we're going to follow the shape of the lines on the floor to let us know exactly where that's supposed to go. So start with the piece in the middle, and that piece there that's got a nice corner bend, and that's got a corner bend, and that should go together perfectly. Again, have a little check from behind if you don't quite know if it's in the right place. Just check the markings on the floor, make sure it's in the right place. Once it's in the right place, press those tabs down, and where this piece gets near to the other piece, just press them together. Now this will vary depending on how you've made your model so far. There'll be a little variation, so there's a little bit of leeway in that, but those two pieces will touch, and wherever they touch and wherever that glue is, just press it with your fingers, and that will now join. And all we've got to do is pop a little bit of glue under there and put Joseph in on his angle, and we'd have finished another half. So, a little bit of glue on the floor, fold Joseph out, press him down, and he should now stay in position as well. So there we are. That's another piece of the stable done. There's only one piece left, and that's the post.
For those of you who did pause, this is a fresh start of a new day of Advent building, and you'll need 3 pieces which can be found on this sheet.
Yes, David, our 3 pieces are all on this sheet. I'm not going to show you scoring them and cutting them out because you're all familiar with that now. So there they are, 3 we prepared earlier. These are the 3 pieces that we want. Now, fold and glue back for strength, fold and glue back for strength. And that's given both those pieces extra support. And now I'm going to show you where they go. We'll do the lamppost first, because this piece goes here on the model where it says post, and here on the model there's a little green patches that match up with these two. So we're going to fold this piece along the crease line, and we're going to fold the tabs forward and pop the glue like we have before, not on the piece but on the base. So we're going to blob a little bit of glue onto those 2 green spots. We're going to fold our lamppost, and we're going to pop those green tabs right onto the green spots, having a little look behind to make sure the angle's right. This is quite important. And now we have our lamppost on our diorama, and we're going to put in this foreground piece. Here it is. It needs a lot of bending. So now our piece is nice and flexible and ready to go on the model, and you will see it says glue the gate here. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our finger behind, and we're going to pop a little bit of glue onto that post, ready to take the gate. And like before, we're going to put our glue on the ground, not on the model. And now it's a question of following that wibbly wobbly line with this long piece. So we'll stick the long bit down first, again following the lines, following the corner. He pops in just there, turns around the corner and sticks to the post. That helps to support the post, and those pieces turn and stick on there. Check yourself behind, just check the lines are matching. Once you know it's in the right place, give it a good firm press down. Press it to the post, and that piece of foreground is now in, and it's helping to support our lamppost.
I can see a part you haven't used, and it's got a part of Joseph on it.
Yes, it has. This beam piece has a bit of Joseph, so I think we know exactly where it's going to go. We're just going to fold him first, fold the tabs, and we're ready to go. This is quite a fiddly bit of building. We've had some easy stuff, sticking the walls to the ground. Now we've got some fiddly bits. What we're going to do is we're going to fold back the top of the Joseph wall. That's the wall with Joseph on. And we're going to fold back that tab that's round the corner. And we're going to pop a bit of glue on this tab here. And just tuck that together so that piece turns around the corner. Because our little beam goes across the top, it joins Joseph, and it joins to the lamp. So it becomes a beam that spans across these 2 pieces. And we're going to do that by popping some glue all the way along that strength piece that we glued back, all the way behind the bit that's got Joseph on it, and on these tabs here. A little bit of glue on that tab, and a little bit of glue on that tab, and we're ready to go. So we line up Joseph to Joseph. We're just going to put a little tiny bend into Joseph's body, because the Joseph on the wall has got a bit of a bend. So we're going to bring those 2 pieces together and press Joseph into place. Now it might not line up exactly, but we're going to cover that with Joseph's head in a little while. There we are. So Joseph's now attached. So we squeeze our beam onto the top of the wall. And we put our beam behind the lamp and squeeze it together. There you are. And now we tuck this fold around the corner and squeeze it together, and you'll see it just fits perfectly around that lamp there. And by doing that, we've now just created a beam from our lamppost to our Joseph. So we've now got a doorway in the model.
Well, I hope you all managed that fiddly beam part. Can we have an easier bit now, Richard?
Yes, David, I think it's time we did do a nice simple piece. And if we look in our dump file, we're going to find a perfect piece that's really easy. Here we are. This came off the very first piece we cut, one of our ground sheets. It's the sheep. They actually don't need very much cutting out. And there's one I made earlier. They don't need any scoring. They're going to go straight onto the model exactly as they are. They're going to go between the post by the Joseph wall and this side piece of the diorama. They're going to help strengthen up this wobbly wall. We're going to glue it to there and glue it to there, and that will make everything nice and strong. What we do is we glue the sheep to the side of the diorama wall, and we glue the other end to just behind the rabbit. You want to tuck the stones in just behind the rabbit's bottom so you don't cover the rabbit up. And then the sheep on the other side, wherever it touches, wherever it fits, that's where you glue it. And it should make that wall nice and strong, and put some lovely sheep into our nativity scene. And while we're doing easy pieces, here's one more that's fun. We haven't cut anything from this sheet so far. This is the star sheet, and we're going to take the cow's head from off of here. There it is. I've already cut one out for you. And we're going to pop that onto the model because that's quite a fun thing to do. First of all, we're just going to give it a quick double bend with our fingers like that, a quick S shape. And now we can pop the cow's head onto the cow's body, and it will pop round the corner. So let's just put a little bit of glue onto his shoulders, her shoulders I should say, she's a cow, not a bull. There we are. And we'll pop her into position there. We just find out where it joins up on the picture. When it's in place, we push it together with our fingers behind, nice and strong. And now we've got a little cow popping out from behind the arch in the stable. That was another nice simple piece. That was 2 simple pieces for you, David. Hope you're happy.
I'm very happy. I'll be even happier when we start putting roof pieces on.
Yes, David's absolutely right. We're going to be making this first roof part, which is actually made of 2 separate pieces. And you'll find the pieces on these sheets. This is what you've got left of them after the bits you've cut out. We're looking for this piece here, and we're looking for that piece there. So I'm going to spare us the cutting out because I've already done it. Yes, but that's the sheet one was on. We've already had 2 bits out of there. That's the other piece. We've had a couple of bits of the stone arch out of there, I think. So these are the 2 bits we're looking for. And this is what we're going to join them into being. Now the first thing to do, these are already scored, as always, is fold back anything that says strength on it. The strength tabs all get folded back. So here we go. So there we are. Now, these pieces do join together to make this piece. On the end here, you'll see a very unusual shaped part, and it's also on this piece with the writing on. So we're going to join that onto there. Now we can do that straight away if you don't want to cut this little window out. And again, a bit like the gable, you don't have to cut that out, but if you do want to cut that out to make the model a little bit more interesting, it goes like this. You're going to cut in on the green arrow, right into the part. I'm going to go round the corner and up to there, and round the corner and up to there on the dotted lines. But we're not cutting off this piece, we're only going to fold it back. So I'm going to fold it back on the join. We've already scored that. We're going to fold it again on the piece of wood. So as you can see, we've folded it there on that little beam of wood, and we're going to glue that down. That strength piece just needs pulling off. It was just in the way. There we are. We're going to glue that back, and we can glue it right down, and we can even give it another little extra fold. And what that's done is it's given us a nice little three-dimensional piece with a little bit of a window in it that we can see through. But you don't have to do that. You can leave it without the hole, but if you're going to have the hole, that's how you do it. And now we're going to put some glue onto that piece, because that's where we've made our cut, and we've made a little bit of destruction in there. And by gluing this piece back on top of it, where it matches, we've put the strength back into the missing piece. Now there's a couple of little extra scores you're going to have to put in. You can score down there between the two sets of nail bolts, and just do a couple of little diagonal scores there and there through those bolts, so you've got an extra little bit of wibble wobble on that part. It's nice to have that part flexible, because when we glue it on, that'll be useful. Now on here we've got the tail of a cat. We'll finish the rest of the cat in a minute, but let's fold that beam in half, because this is in fact another beam, and we'll show you where that goes in just a moment. This is a big complicated part. You want to make sure all the tabs are nice and loose, and that will make joining it to the model a lot easier if those tabs are nice and supple. Now this one here, it's got a red thing on it and a yellow thing that says glue inside stump. On that red one, which is scored, we fold it along there, but we don't fold it here. This little end tab, that folds. Now if I bring the model in, I'll show you where this piece fits.
Oh, I'm excited to see where that part goes. I bet you are too.
Oh, you're so excitable. This is the first roof piece. It's actually a roof piece, and it's also a beam. You can see how we've done the beam on this side. You remember doing that. We're also going to put a beam on this side. It's going to span between our stone arch and our stone stump. So if we look at it from above, and we just move the gable out of the way, the piece that says glue across archway, if we fold that back, we're going to glue that across the top of the stone arch. We're going to glue that onto there. So let's do that now. We'll move that out of the way. We're going to put a little bit of glue right across the tab that says glue across archway. It's a strange looking piece of roof, this, and it's very difficult to spot which way up it goes, but luckily the words are going to help you. So let's pop a bit of glue on the bit that says glue to back of gable as well, because that will help us now at this time. So we're going to glue the piece that says glue to top of stone archway onto the stone archway. Quite simple really. Fold it back, and that is where that piece goes. Now you can crimp it together with your fingers and hold it tight, or if you remember in the very beginning I said if you've got some little clips they might be useful. This is the time when if you've got a clip or two, a paper clip, a bulldog clip, you could pop it on there just to hold that in place. If not, just keep tweaking it with your fingers till it stays put. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to bring these two pieces together, the gable and this new piece that we've put in. We're bringing them together until they touch. When they touch, we're going to squeeze them between our fingers, and that will join it together exactly where it needs to be. It only reaches as far as it has to, and it glues where it touches. So now your roof, with or without your little peepee hole, depending on whether you cut it out, is in position. And this other piece has got a lot of wobble on it, and it's going to join onto our stone stump. So we're going to put some glue on the yellow bit there that says glue inside stone stump, and we're going to put some glue on the red piece, and also on the tab on the end of the beam right next to the end of the cat's tail. So that is a cat's tail. We're going to be putting a cat on there later. Now this piece is already in position and it's nice and stuck and strong now because it's been there for quite a while. We're going to tuck that in behind the stone stump, covering up the yellow writing, bringing the stone just to near the bottom of the cat's tail and squeezing it all together. And when we've got that squeezed together, we then turn the pillar over and glue that tab there, shuffling that down into place, giving it a good squeeze, and now you've got a beam going between the main part of the stable and this stone stump. And it's very wobbly. There's a good join there. There's several little creases. That's why we put so many creases in that, which just lets it settle where it needs to go, because it's quite a wobbly piece. But it'll all get held into position when this roof stabilises the stable. There we are, there's David's joke again. We're going to stabilise the stable. That's what we're going to do next. We're going to put a roof on there. But actually, before we do that, there is a little piece we can put on here that will just make this piece a little bit stronger. And it's not a piece of wood or a piece of the stable. It's actually a little character. It's a sheep. So let's find that sheep and put it on there.
You know the piece I showed you last time that looks like that? Well, now it looks like that. That's the piece you want.
Thank you very much. Yes, there we are. There's our sheep. He's in the middle of what's left of that page. We've got Mary, we've got a king, we've got a halo, we've got two halos in fact, and this little sheep. So let's go ahead and cut him off. Now I know we've been speeding up through the cutting up till now, but let me just pop him off the page without us going fast. Feels unusual to be doing scissoring at usual speed, but there we are. There's our little sheep. Now he's right against a bit of stone wall. We're just going to put a crease up the back of him to the stone wall and a little crease across the tab by his feet. So now we've got one bend, another bend, and our little sheep fits against this wall here. Now you will see that these three stones are the same as these three stones. In fact, you glue that in front of the pillar and you glue his little tab down on the floor, and that's going to help stabilise that post and that pillar that we've just put in. So we'll pop a bit of glue on the back and a bit of glue on the tab, and we'll put our little sheep into position. We're going to glue the stones onto the stones that match. Put your fingers behind, give it a little bit of a squeeze, let it come to the floor and push the floor piece down. And now what we've done is we've basically put a little stabilising flap onto that stone stump to help it stand up with this new pillar on it, but it just so happens to be a little sheep. So there we are, that bit's now a little bit stronger. Well, our next big job is to put the two pieces of the roof on, and that completes the stable. But before we can get those on, there is one triangular wedge shape we have to put on here just to level it up in order to take the roof. Now I hope you're managing to keep up with all of this. If you're having any trouble, just spool back on the video, have a look, get it organised in your head, know what you're doing, and then have a crack at doing it. I think if you do it little by little, step by step, you will keep up with this and you will be okay. I hope none of you are sitting there thinking, I really wish they'd made us the nice simple one, we'd have done that by now. Well, we know you would, but the whole point is, this is a nice craft project that will take you a nice long while to do, and we hope you're having fun working through all the processes. We hope we've not given you something that's too difficult. We hope you're enjoying yourselves. Well, like I say, let's get on to sorting out this wedge piece. Okay, well, the wedge piece we're looking for is on this piece of paper. We've already had quite a few pieces from off of here, but we do still have a roof piece left, a shepherd boy, bits of the turkey and a rabbit. But this is the piece we're looking for, that piece there. So let's go ahead and cut that out. Right, there we go. That's the piece we're looking for. And now we'll cut it out. There we are. And you know the drill by now. Anything that says strength on it, we fold that back and glue it first. There you are. Now this is another piece where you have a choice. There is a little peepee hole window in here, and you can cut it out and have it open and it lets you see through to the background. Or you can leave it exactly as it is and use this piece just like that. But it does look prettier if you cut out that window. In either case, you're going to want a little patch to cover up that join, because that's where we go in to do the cutting out, and I'm going to show you now. We're going to snip in there, and following the dotted lines, we're going to snip to the corner, turn it round, snip to the other corner, and I'm going to go straight up and snip to the corner and snip to the corner. Now this is what gave David and I both the idea of doing this whole project as a bit like an advent calendar. You can do it all in one day, like we said, or you can do it piecemeal, day by day. And this little flap looks so much like an advent calendar window. It reminded us of that fact and made us think, do you know what? This is the sort of project people could do a little bit of every day, together as a family. Snip that little bit off because it's in the way. And it would last them all of Advent, or even all of December if you want to, right up to Christmas. Just do some on whatever day you feel like doing it. On a rainy day, let's just do another little section and you'll get there by Christmas time. So, yeah, those windows are a little bit like an advent calendar. Let's go ahead and glue them open. Or rather glue them out of the way around the back. There we are. Bump, bump, bump. And that's given us a nice little peephole. Now we do need to repair that little area there where we've made our cut. There is a patch for that. And it says patch there on that tiny bit of pink, and there's also a star. Now that star's there for a reason. It's to remind everyone, especially me, that the piece you're looking for is on this sheet, the sheet that's got the star. Now this sheet's also got the cow's head, so actually what you've done already is you've gone ahead and you've removed the cow, because we've used it already. I didn't mean to say removed. That's as bad as one of David's jokes, but there we are. So the cow has in fact already gone from that piece. But funnily enough, to get to the cow, you've probably already cut up right next to the piece that we want. There we are. It says patch, and that is in fact the piece we want. And if you look around the grey edge of this sheet, you'll see a little bit of green as well, just to guide you to it. But those two things should help you find it. There's a little bit there that if you cut it out, let's get rid of our star sheet for now. If you cut that out, it's going to blend in with that. So let's snip the end off. Let's cut a bit better down the dark black line. And cut that end off, and you've now got a patch piece to repair that join. So let's go ahead and glue it on. There we are. As you can see, that's done a nice job of repairing our patch. We're just going to go in, I'm going to go in with my teaspoon and just finish off that crease along there. There's a little crease under our mouse and it goes all along and under our new patch. Now if that's in the right place, we should be able to fold that. And we've now gone ahead and repaired our little panel. Now even if you don't cut that hole out, you might want to repair that with that patch just to make it look pretty. And if we fold that panel back, it's ready to take the roof. It says no glue yet, wait for the roof panel. But the roof panel is coming. One more fold to do, and that's along there. And now we'll have a look at where that piece fits.
Do you know, I absolutely know where that piece goes. It goes on the Joseph beam. You see, I have been paying attention, even though I changed my jumper.
And a very nice jumper it is too. You really have been paying attention, haven't you?
Yes, you haven't. You didn't stick that beam down, did you?
No, he's absolutely right. David's right. This beam has come unstuck, so I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on that tab because it didn't quite take the first time. So I'll pop a bit of glue on there, stick it down, and this time I'm going to pop a little clip on it just for a couple of minutes, just to persuade it to stay put this time, and we'll carry on now. Yes, you know where it's going to go. It's going to go on the Joseph beam. You were quite right. Here's our Joseph beam. Here's our new triangular piece. I'm going to put some glue right along the top of the Joseph beam. There we are. That's going to be where our new wall is. Now, as we said, you might have the peephole, you might not, but it doesn't make any difference. It still goes in the same place. It goes right on the top of the Joseph beam, and you'll just need to squeeze it together, put a finger underneath, push from both sides, and that will stick. And then we're going to just tuck that piece behind the lamp, because as you can see, this tilts. As soon as we put some glue on that flap there, like that, put it behind the lamp, stand it up and give it a little squeeze, that will stay put. And we've now got a lovely surface onto which we can put our roof. We've got the complete space for the two roof pieces, and hopefully this piece is now stuck. Yep, so we're good to go. We're good to put our roof on. Or, as some people like to say, we're going to raise the roof.
Yeehaw!
Okay, so we're down to the last 2 pieces of roof on the stable. Now, if you've been cutting your sheets out in order so far, this is what's left of the 2 pages that they're on. As you can see, not very much. Now, when you cut these out, you are going to be left with some very small pieces. And you know what I'm going to say to you. As always, don't forget to put those into your dump file, especially things like that turkey head, because you will lose it, the little mice. All these parts are quite small now, bits of the turkey, and of course you've got part of the manger there. You don't want to lose that. In fact, you don't want to lose any of it, so be very careful. Now, I should take those away because I've cut them out already. Like I said, put the leftover bits into your dump file. There's just one thing I want to show you with the cutting out. We've cut these out, we've scored them, you know what that's all about. But there's one place just to be attentive of, and that's here on this piece. There's a bit of black in the corner. Now you will need to cut that out quite accurately. Well, not accurately, but just definitely you'll need to have it removed, because without that little nick in the corner, you won't be able to bend the roof in the right way to join it to both parts of the stable. That part there is very useful. It just helps that part be flexible enough to actually fit where it needs to go. So try and remember to do that. If you don't cut it out, if you forget to do it, you'll find you'll have a difficult job folding that piece onto the wall. So as long as you do that, you'll be okay. Now let's bring the model back in and let's raise the roof.
Yeehaw! It's worth doing it again. I've got a different hat.
Okay, now because we are filming and I have got several different versions of this all in the wings waiting to go, eagle-eyed viewers might have spotted I put the triangle part on a model that I hadn't got the sheep on, and I'd already shown you the sheep. David said, oh, you've missed a bit there. So in that last clip, yes, I'm afraid our little sheep wasn't in play. Well, now he's there. So you can tell we're doing several models at once. That's the trickeries of filming. Be glad you're only making one. Unless there's several children in the house, in which case you might be making 2 at once, but we're making 2 or 3 on the go here. There we are, we're back to where we should be, continuity corrected. Now then, we're going to put the roof on. As David said, we're going to raise the roof. Please don't do the yeehaw gag again. It was bad enough the first time. Right, we've got our roof bits and we're going to bend them. We're going to bend back the 2 bits that are going to make the gable. They're the wooden coloured bits with the little white lines on, they match. We're going to bend back the bits that say centre. They're in red. They get put together. They join. We're going to bend back the bits that tell you where they go. Glue on top of donkey wall. We're going to bend back the bit that says glue to broken plank wall. Try saying that 3 times. That's this one, that's the broken plank wall. Said it twice, I'm not going to risk it 3 times. Join to big gable beam, that one's easy. Right, and we're going to start with that piece. We're going to join to big gable beam. Now luckily these tell you exactly where they need to go. So let's put some glue on the writing. Join to big gable beam, join to the centre. We don't put any glue on the parts of the roof that don't have any writing because they don't need it. Join to big gable beam will get joined to the big gable. It goes on there, it fits, slide it slightly to the front more than the back and pinch it together with your fingers. You can do that. If you'd like to make it super strong, just go in, pop a little bit of glue on that side. As ever, the purple glue lets you see what we're doing, and pinch it back that way and you'll get it to join to itself behind, and you'll see that'll just make that join doubly strong because it's gluing to itself twice, and that makes that beam now very strong and very stable along the length. So turning it back round again, you'll see it still hinges, it moves, it's got a lot of flexibility in it. And we're going to put the next roof piece on, and again it's all marked out, and you want to put glue on all the pieces that are marked with words, and you don't want to put glue on the piece that's just plain wood. So going in and putting glue on the words. Right, so that's the centre, that's the donkey wall. Let's glue it to the top of the donkey wall to start. There's the donkey wall, that piece will fit on there. Now you can go in the back. We've got this handy hole, remember, in the back of the model. You can go in the back and pinch those two pieces together. That's really handy to have. That'll make it nice and strong if it's joined like that. Now bringing it back round, you've got these two pink edges, they both say centre, and you're going to bring them together. And you're going to pinch them to help them stick. And you'll see our roof has now come together and it's joined. And the only bit left to do is this last flap and this last flap. So you bring those together and you give them a little pinch. And you now see why we had to cut out that little piece of the wall, the little black piece, because that's a slightly staggered join. And without that little piece that you cut out in black in the corner of that roof piece, that would not go together quite so evenly or easily. There we are. That is in fact the majority of our roof done. Was it worth raising the roof?
Yeehaw! And if you want, that's another good place to pause.
You're probably quite pleased to hear we're on the home stretch now as far as the stable goes. There's one more crucial piece for the roof, and it's this gable part here that strengthens up the roof. Now this is the sheet it started out on. As you know, we've had everything off this sheet pretty much, and it's been cut to smithereens. So where you'll find that piece is of course tucked away in your dump file. It'll be in there somewhere. There we are. There's the piece with Mary, and it's got the gable piece we're looking for. Also in here somewhere, there we are. There's one of our kings, Joseph's head, and the top of the gable, so we'll have that as well. Right, let's have a look at these pieces then. Well, I have of course got one of those cut out already. Here's one I prepared earlier, as they say. But this one here are our little lovebirds, our little doves on top of the gable. I'll cut those out. We haven't had a nice speedy cut out in a very long time, so here goes. Oh, I was missing that. We haven't had a good speed up for about 5 minutes, so there we are. That's the top of our gable. That's nice and easy. And again, as we said before, set all your other bits back in your file because you will lose them otherwise. Now, this piece is a jolly fun little piece to put together, and it's just as well it's come very late in the build because it might tax you just a little bit. So, I have already scored it, but I'll show you where we went. We went along there, and we went along there, and we went along there. Now as for cutting this one out, we want to end up like that. We don't want to cut these end pieces off, and we don't want to trim those pieces off, not just yet. We want to cut it exactly as we see it. I am going to do this one in front of you, and we won't speed this one up because it's quite important to see. We're going to cut into all those parts, and we are going to snip right along the front and take that piece of white off and cut to the black line by the yellow. Now, as I said, this is a tricky little part to put together. Nice cut in there, nice cut in there. And some of your younger children, even some of your middle children, might need a little bit of a hand with this one. It's not so much the cutting out, it's all the folding. It's a complicated little piece, and it's probably just as well it's come quite late in the build, because by now you'll have your skills with your scissors and the skills with your glue honed to perfection. So as you can see, that's what we've got. And as always, we're going to glue the glue back for strength tabs first. So we'll turn it over, and we'll do these two little ones first. We'll fold them over. We'll fold over the great big long piece after we've glued what we're just about to do. So we've glued those back, and we're now going to fold the big long fold. You can either do this by hand, or you can do it with your ruler. This one's probably easier to do with your ruler. The little ones we just did with our fingers. We're going to go in there, get the feel of the card, find out where that groove is, and fold it back a little way. Check we've done it right. Yes, we have. And now we're going to glue it down. So that is what we have. We have our little gable, and we've left the ends all the way along. Now you can go ahead, now it's folded, and cut just these big ends. But I would recommend leaving those ones. I'll do it again on this one I prepared earlier. Oh no, I haven't folded that one. Here we are. Here's one I prepared earlier. I knew there was one. Cut the big ends off, but leave the little ends. And now, there we are. We've got our gable parts to go and put onto our roof. Okay, we can take the two parts that we've just done for the gable and finish off our roof properly. A little bit of glue along this part that's got the doves on should strengthen up our roof quite nicely. You're just going to tease this roof into this angle. So by putting that on, you're fixing the roof to be the shape that that piece is forcing it to be. There we are, looks better already. Now, once you've done that and you've established the shape of your roof, your gable piece is going to glue onto the front. You're going to glue these pieces where they fit and then trim the top parts once you put that on. So let's put it on the floor. Let's put some glue on both ends. In fact, all four ends. And put this piece where it wants to go. Don't force it to be where it doesn't. Just find out where those ends come to on the roof. When it's found its place, pinch them on nice and tight. Now this isn't symmetrical. It's a slightly wonky stable. I didn't want anything too symmetrical. We've kept it interesting looking. And now those pieces will just fit where they want to go. Now you can see why we didn't cut those. We didn't cut those because where they land will depend on just how your model has settled, what angle you found yourself at, and that will change for everybody. You can either cut those off, or as there's still glue on them, just fold them behind and pinch them back, and that again makes quite a nice strong join. So that's why we didn't cut those ends off when we folded our little gable piece. Now that has just made our roof so much stronger and much prettier. Now there's the next jobs we're going to do. We're going to add a couple of pieces in here that will just join that together, so we can put a cat on there. We're going to put an owl on there and a turkey on there. But first of all, you've got to decide whether you want to have the Christmas garlands on the front. Now it's strange to have Christmas garlands on a nativity scene, but quite a lot of the German wooden carved ones and the Czech Republic carved ones that you see at Nash markets and Christmas markets this time of year often have evergreens and Christmas garlands and things that look suspiciously like Christmas decorations incorporated on the nativity scenes. It's just a look that seems to work, even though we know there wouldn't have been Christmas decorations, not on that very first Christmas. But if you want them, you can put them on. So we're going to do that now, and of course you will find those garlands where you find everything you're looking for at the moment. That's in your dump file. There they are. They're quite early in the job we cut those out, and we're going to put those on there. First of all though, we're just going to fold it in half, find out where the middle is, give it a quick snip, and because our nativity scene now isn't symmetrical, quite deliberately so, these won't fit symmetrically, but we're just going to find out where they want to be, and we're going to glue them on. So like we did with the gable, we're going to stick some glue quite generously on the end, more than you think you need, because we don't know where it's going to settle yet, and we're going to find out where that wants to settle. Bring it to the end of the roof, to that little yellow bit there, bring it to where it wants to sit in your middle, and start again. See, it's not easy. Let's just settle it down to where it wants. There, it seems to want to settle there, and I'm again going to fold the end over, pinch it over that bar, and just let it do what it wants to do and be where it wants to be. That's one half. I'm not looking for the front, because I know this won't be symmetrical. It isn't intended to be symmetrical. Bit of glue on this side. Those of you that like things neat and tidy might have a little struggle with this not actually coming to a full symmetrical pattern, but it was quite deliberate. Now this one's going to come over, and it may well join onto the turkey there. It might join onto the roof. It just depends how your model has settled. Yes, today it's gone onto the turkey, but that's why the turkey isn't there. We're going to add the turkey in a moment. So there we are, that's our garlands on. You might have chosen to leave those off. You might have left them on the roof. Do you remember from the very beginning? There we are. But whether you do that or whether you leave them off, the next stage is the same. We're going to stick our two birds over the top there to secure the join. But first of all, we're going to put a joining piece here and put a cat on this wall. let's go and find where those pieces are.
Well, if you're looking for your cat, Richard, you better look in your dump, because that's where all your pieces should be.
Of course, David, you're absolutely right. Everything you want should be in here. So sort through all your bits and pieces, and these are the bits you want to find and cut out. You need to find the cat, the owl, Joseph's head, all 4 bits of the turkey, this funny little piece with a mouse on it, and this piece that looks like a brown cricket pad, for those of you that are old enough to remember such things. It's got the cat flap written on it. You find and cut out all of those, and we're now going to show you where they go. Okay, let's dive into our little pieces. Let's start with Joseph. He's waited long enough. We're just going to slightly bend his head because his body's got a crease in it, and that will help stick him on. We're going to pop some glue in behind him. And obviously we know where he goes. I'm putting my hand behind to give it a bit of support. And we're just going to pop his head onto his body. And he's got blue cuffs, and he's got a blue collar to that shirt, so you can cover up any of those joins and put him where you think he goes. Give him a little push, and suddenly there he is. He's all nice and whole. Right, well, before we can put our cat in position, we've got to create a little place for him to be. Now, this piece of wood has got a little shelf with a mouse on it, so this is the piece you're looking for next. And what we're going to do is going to bend it there. Just bend it there. You've probably scored it there if you've seen what's coming up. There we are. We're going to pop a little bit of glue behind both ends of that piece. Now, one end goes on our beam. This is our beam with a cat tail. So I'm fetching that in. I'm just joining it onto the beam. And there it is on the beam. Now, this end of the gable, I'm just going to give it a little tweak to bend it round. I'm going to fetch this up, and I'm going to glue it onto that part just to join it up, making a sort of a random join there. So we've joined our beam to our roof gable, and now I'm going to reach down for this little piece that's got the words cat flap on it, and I'm going to fold that where the dotted lines are. Give it a quick fold there, give it a fold there, and a fold where it says cat flap. Now this one I know needs just a little trim, otherwise we cover up our Mr. Mouse. And what we're going to do with this one is we're putting it on the beam again. See, just didn't want to cover up the mouse's tail, and we're going to tuck the green in behind the mouse, and we're creating a little lip there to put the cat on. So let's put some glue on that. Here we go, turning it round. I'm going to put some glue on that flap, and we're going to put some glue where it says cat flap, and we're going to stick that over the piece we've just put on. We're double stacking our pieces there, so that beam's now getting some extra thickness to it. So we're sticking it on the end of the beam, we're joining it just by the mouse's tail, we're folding it up behind and sticking the cat flap behind the mouse. Talk about Tom and Jerry, there we are. So now we've got a little bucket space there that the cat can sit on, and you can already see his tails there. So now if I take the cat and put a little bend on the bottom of him, just enough to put a little bit of glue on the edge there, and a tiny blob of glue on the back of his head. Now we can offer our cat up, and what we want to look for is the bottom of the tail, so don't worry about how far it goes that way, concentrate on the tail, line the tail up to the tail, stick the two together and pinch your cat head to that cat flap piece, and that will just sit him in position, and he's now lounging on the beam, all nice and peaceful. Because we've had the arrival of baby Jesus, he's not bothered about chasing that little mouse at all. He's just sat there quite comfortably. So that's the cat. Now we've done our cat, we've just left with our 2 birds to do, and we'll start with the easy one, which is the owl, because that's only one piece. Now these birds are for decoration, but they're also to cover up the joins. That's really their main purpose, is they cover up a multitude of sins here in the corners, and they help to strengthen the roof. So we'll pop some glue liberally on the back of our owl, And what we're going to do is we're going to put it onto this point here where everything meets. All the joins from this, the garland, if you've got it, all those bits are all there. We like to cover them up and strengthen the whole lot. So we're going to put the owl right across all those joins, and it takes care of all that little bit of mess. Makes it look pretty, and it also makes it a bit stronger. Now it's time for the turkey, and quite handily we've got A, B, C and the head, so we'll do them in that order. So we'll take A, which is the tail. Now this side is much more weak, there's a lot of open space there. The other side was much more compact for joins, so we've got a nice big piece here. We'll just give it a little bit of a bend. We'll stick some glue on the back of it, quite liberally again. This is easier on the table, but obviously we're doing it so you can see it for camera. There we are. And we've got this huge area here to patch in and this join to make nice and strong. It'll be even weaker if you haven't got the garland on. So this first piece really just like a sticking plaster goes over that whole area and patches it together, and that's made everything much stronger. The rest of the process, stay there, is just a question of covering up. So we'll just bend that wing, put a little bit of glue behind the B, just bend the wing to give it a little bit of shape. And now we start covering up what we're seeing. So we'll cover the A, and let that wing go out to the side. And now I'll bring in C, which has got a wing and a bit of a body. So again, pop some glue on the back of the body, cover over what we've got already. His little legs are already there on the wall, perched on the side of the stable. So as you can see, the only thing left is going to be his head. So we pop a bit of glue to the back of his neck, and cover up our letter. And that will complete your turkey, and that has now made that wall and that's joined there to the roof a much more solid affair, and the whole roof is much more stable now we've put these birds on. And guess what? In our nativity, even the turkeys don't mind Christmas. That's a bit of a result. Yeah, much stronger. We're getting very near the end of the stable now. It'll just be characters to put in soon. The star's going to be the next main thing that goes on, but before we do that, there are a couple of other little bits that have waited quite long enough to join our model. Remember that little pocket that we made? That little first jigsaw patch we put in the hills? Well, that takes our kings. Our three wise men, before they arrive, slot into the hillside there, and you can see them against the moon arriving on their animals, so that just goes there. When you put the three kings in the model, you can take that out so you can decide when they arrive. If you're one of the people that like your kings arriving later than your shepherds, want to get them out on a different day over Christmas, you can change that over, but we'll leave that in there for now as we haven't cut our kings out yet. There's one other person that's waited right from the very beginning, one of the very first pieces we cut off the ground sheets, and that's our angel Gabriel, who might be rather familiar to some of you.
I've absolutely no idea why he thought I'd make a good Gabriel, but I do.
Yes, I thought it's about time we put you on. Now, what you can do with this one is you can actually have it as Rev David as Gabriel. But if you're not from David's church and you don't think you want Rev David in your house at Christmas, and I don't know why you wouldn't, there is a little face for Gabriel in amongst your pack. You'll find it in your dump somewhere. It's a small one, you just stick it over David's face and you've got an angel Gabriel that's more like the others. So I've now got to decide which one's going on. I think I might get a dig in the ribs if I don't use this one. Now what we do is we can give it a little bend, a little S bend, a bit like we did the cow head, just to give it a little bit more of an interesting shape. And that does help it to stand up. And we're going to put some glue all the way down the bottom there. Okay. We're going to stick him in on this piece of the diorama here. So we just pop him in behind there, quite a way down, so he's got a nice bit of support from the cardboard. Give him a little pinch, and because we've given him a little bit of a bend, it will stand up of its own accord. There we are. So Gabriel's now watching over the scene, the kings are arriving, and I think it's time we got our star sheet out and cut out our star and our supporting pieces and finished off the main structure. got a king, a couple of shepherds, a rabbit, and of course the important baby Jesus for the crib and our star. But we've also got these very strange blue pieces here, and these are the bits we're going to want first. Now I've already cut a couple of these out, so we'll move the sheet and we'll have a look at what we're going to do with these. And it's probably easy for me to show you first. This is what we're going to make. We're making a piece that folds and has a flap at the back which glues to the sky. This piece slides around our roof and joins us to the stable, and this little piece here actually takes the star. So we're making a hook in the sky to hang the star on, and we want it to be blue on both sides, and there's an easy way that we do that. First of all, let's put the important scores in. We've not shown you much scoring. We've taken for granted that you see the lines and you score things yourself all through this build, but just for now I'll show you where these ones are. A couple of scores on the flaps. The star tips, they get a little bit of a proper score. There's also a proper score on this piece with the brown spots and the dotted line. But these two bits with the brown wobbly lines, it says gentle finger fold. So that's not a score. You just take it in your fingers and you roll it a little bit and give it a little bit of a curl. We don't want a proper fold there, just a little bit of a curl. That will help it shape around the roof. So the only bit we're going to cut out accurately are these two flaps on the back of the hooks. So we're going to cut these pieces out neatly, taking the white off, because we're going to put these on the blue of the sky and we want them to disappear. So we don't want any white on that piece, and we don't want any white on that piece. In fact, I've already cut that one out earlier. That was lucky. So we're going to fold those and fold those, and they go together. Now, even though they're different sizes, the line in the middle is the same size, so that's where they join. And we're going to put some glue just on one of them, not on the flap, so let's fold the flap out of the way, not on the star tip, let's fold that out of the way, and we're just going to put some glue, again coloured glue so you can see what I'm doing, put some glue on most of the rest of it. We're going to leave the curly flap on the end, we're not going to put any glue there either. And we're now going to put these two pieces together. We're going to put the two straight edges together on the flaps. Let's just put it gently together first, make sure we've got it right. There we are. Our flaps are together to go on the sky. So now we know it's right, we can press it together nice and firmly. And now the idea is that we cut through this nice and neatly, and it will cut through both sides and hopefully not leave us any white showing, because that will spoil the effect of our star hanging in the sky. So we're going to go in there, we're going to cut quite generously into the blue because it has to work on both sides. If we've lined it up right, we'll have been lucky. Let's have a look. Have we been lucky? Yes, no white showing on that side. And we're going to go ahead and do that little edge there. We can leave this end untrimmed because it's going on the roof. And we'll do the same there, cutting through both pieces together. And we'll just trim up a little star tip. And let's have a look. Oh, we've got a bit of white showing on that side, so let's go ahead and trim. That could happen if they just misalign. You do it yourself till you're happy that you've got no white and just sky blue. So now that piece will glue on the back wall, that will go around the roof, and that will take our star. Let's pop that on the model now, and then we can put star on. Okay, now we're going to fix our star hook onto our sky. We're going to put a little bit of glue, well, quite a lot actually, inside the back piece that joins to the roof. We won't put any where the star goes, not just yet. And we're going to put some, these open flat, they're a little bit easier. We're going to put some on the flaps that go on the sky. And once we've got those nicely covered in some glue, we can pop it into position. Now then, if I bend the sky back a bit, you'll see we've got this piece here which shows you exactly where it goes. There's a centre line, you can see the two pieces are different, as are these two pieces. But we pop the centre of this piece right down the centre line, and we cover up that light blue of the sky so we can't see it anymore. And hopefully, you press at the back with your other hand, hopefully that blue blends into the other blue and makes our sky hook as invisible as possible. It's strange when we've gone to all that work to make something we hope's not seen, but that's the truth. Right, now we've got a centre spine on our roof, and we've got these two pieces, and these should just meet up with the centre of our roof, and if you give it a jolly good squeeze, and again you can come in from the back because you've got nice access. We give that a gentle squeeze down the spine of the roof. You can see how those two pieces bend now and why one of them is slightly longer than the other. If you turn it round, what that's done is it's not only given us somewhere to hitch our star in the sky, it's also fixed our back nice and strong, it's fixed our roof nice and strong, and it's tied the whole model together. So in a way, the star is the linchpin of the whole thing. It's suddenly made everything, including our stable, more stable. A joke's worth doing, it's worth doing at least 4 times. Lovely. So there we are. The only thing left to do is to go and cut out our star. Now the hook's hanging in the sky, we better hang a star on it. Now how you cut this out is up to you. If you really want to, you can cut it out very finely, very close to the white star, or you can leave a lot of the blue on. It actually looks quite nice with a lot of the blue on. That's how I prefer to do it. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it out now. We'll speed it up, but you'll see that I'm leaving quite a large margin of that blue. I'm going to cut about halfway into it. Here we go. Right. I like the star looking like that. It blends into the sky. Now, if you want to go around that with a glitter pen, or you want to glue some glitter onto it, or decorate it with some tin foil, that's up to you. But for now, we're going to leave our star just as it is, and we're going to go and hang it in the sky above the stable. But don't be afraid to be creative with your star. On the church website, they're going to leave a link to where you can post pictures of your nativity. So if you want to get creative, do whatever you like with your stars and your characters and where you put things, and let us know what you've done. But we're going to use this just as it is, and we're going to go and put it on the model. Now is the time to hang our star. We're going to put a blob of glue on the back, right in the middle. And we're going to find our 2 star hanging flaps that are there, and we're just going to pop it on. Now, before I pop it on, this will have settled somewhere. It might not be even, it depends on the hang of your model, but it's settled to where it wants to be. Now you want to put your star as straight up and down as possible so it hangs nicely in the sky. Just bring it up to those 2 pieces, and wherever this star hook has decided to settle, as long as your star is nice and level and you pinch it together now, it should hang above your stable in a nice level fashion. Just give it a moment. If it's not where you want, before the glue dries, give it a little bit of a tweak till it's absolutely perfect, because it's very much the focal point. And that, apart from putting our little people in it, that's our stable done. Now, you've probably appreciated we've done everything we can to cram as much onto our pieces of paper, as many figures and bits and pieces of the stable as possible, and there wasn't room to put any stands for these on the cardboard that we've sent you. But that's no matter, because it's really easy to do, and you can do that with your own cardboard at home. Remember this? Right from the very beginning, when we did our ground, what seems like a very long time ago now, this is a leftover bit of the cereal box, and this is ideal for standing up your characters. So yes, we didn't include any stands in our design, but we know you'll forgive us because you can do them yourselves very, very easily. What we're going to need is a little piece of cardboard. We're going to cut a rectangle. That's a long shape, not a square. And what we'll do is we're going to mark a cross on it. Not a centre cross, but like a church cross. A cross with a long piece and a short piece. There we are. Do that with your scorer. And now you want to cut off one of the small pieces. Trim up there and cut a curve. So you've got something like that with a score in the middle. You've got a little tab and a circular piece there. And if you fold that, you'll find this is ideal for going on the back of your figure. The only other thing you'll need is another little strip of cardboard. I found this is the best and strongest way to stand them up. I'm just going to find myself some glue and show you what we do. Just going to fold this one first. All the figures apart from one of the Marys, has got a tab on the bottom, but there's plenty of bits of ground on your sheets that's spare for you to stick on the bottom of that Mary. So they've all got flaps, and they will all just stand up like that. They'll fall over, of course, because they need to stand at the back. They'll just fall over unless you decide to strengthen them. Lovely. So we're going to turn them over. We're going to take this, we're going to put a little bit of glue on the sticky out bit. That's all, nowhere else. We're going to stand our figure up, and we're going to put that to the back of it and give it a quick press. Now, that sort of will stand up, but it will still fall over because it's not supported. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our extra bit of cardboard, we're going to slather it with glue all over. We're going to take our piece, we're going to stand him up, and we're going to pop this piece and that piece across our glued piece of card, like that. So we're now sticking the ground, and we're sticking the tab at the back to that new piece of cardboard. And although that glue's not quite dry, you'll see now it absolutely won't fall over. And you really want to give that a couple of minutes ideally at home, just to let the glue set nice and strongly. But I'm going to go straight in now. I'm just going to cut across the front of the ground, cut through that little bit of card, go around the back, trim off the excess that we don't need, because you don't want that showing. And now you've got a character that's going to stand up. So the main thing is mark across, cut a piece out, stick it on. I'm going to do it once more. We'll do it in fast motion, but you'll still see how it's done, but you can always rewind the video. Let's take one of these, and let's do it again. We'll do a shepherd this time. Here we go. So we've got two figures now that absolutely won't fall over. And now they're free for you to play with. If you want to pop them into your nativity and put them where you'd like them to be, that's up to you. You can put them wherever you like and move them around and bring the kings in and bring the shepherds out. Or, if you want to, here we are. Let's pretend this is our ground on our model. If you want to fix a character and leave it there permanently, this is still the easiest way to do it. Make a stand just like you would if you were going to move them around. Pop a bit of glue on the bottom and just pop your figure into your model exactly where you'd like it to be. Press it down and your character will now stay firmly fixed on your nativity and not fall over. You might want to fix some of them that stay there permanently, probably the shepherds, and leave the kings loose to bring them in and out. Or you might want to fix them all, or you might want to leave them all loose. It's all up to you. Good luck. Of course, no nativity is going to be complete without its central characters. And there we have Mary and baby Jesus. Now the halos come separately. That's because there's not space on the page to put them all in. So you'll have to find the halos, big and small, to put them onto Mary and the baby. There's one without. Very simple. You just take your glue, pull a little blob, and give her a lovely halo. So you can decide whether you have Jesus in the cradle or Jesus in his mother's arms. You can switch over these two. Perhaps you could have the shepherds looking at that one and the kings looking at the one in the cradle. Seems to be quite a good way of doing it, because the kneeling down king looks like he's giving the gifts to the baby in the cradle. And speaking of which, we better put the manger in. Now the manger and baby Jesus and his halo are all separate pieces. If you've been good, you'll find them in your dump file. I hope you haven't lost them. I hope you found them. And when you've cut them out, and we haven't quite finished that piece there, let's get rid of the white. That's what you've got. You've got several pieces, and for a very good reason. We're going to pop some glue onto there. And it says no glue in the red area. It lets you know. And a little bit of glue on the edge there. And now we're going to line our manger up so that the edges all meet. Stick that down. And then we're going to fold this front piece forward. They have been scored. And we're going to fold the back piece back. It will now stand up. We're just going to go in there now, it's all stuck together, and we're going to trim off some of that black. We're going to go in and out, just round the hay. And we'll do the same on that side. We'll cut all of that off. In fact, let's just go around the hay like that. Now our lovely little crib will stand up all on its own. You can put it where you want it on the model, or you could glue it and stick it in position once you're absolutely sure you've got it where you'd like it to be permanently. The good thing about that is, once you've got baby Jesus cut out and you've trimmed him nice and narrow, he just slots in. If you haven't put any glue in the middle, he'll also slot out again. So as I say, you can have him there with his mother watching, or you can slip him out and have them both together. Of course, you've still got to put his halo on. Make sure you get the right one. There's 4 halos on your cards. There's 2 big ones for Mary, like I said, and 2 smaller ones for the baby Jesus. Now, when you cut these out, there could be black or other colours next to them where they're butted right up against another piece of the puzzle. So just cut round them as best you can, leaving a little bit of white on is always quite nice. And you'll find as you turn it around in your fingers, you've got one side's always going to be better than the other. That looks like the best edge for me. Let's just trim that up. You're always going to have one piece that's not so pretty because of the way it's come off the cardboard. So find your best looking part of your halo. Trim it up nice and neat. Put a blob of glue on the bit that's not so good. And bring the two together. Now then, you could also maybe, before you stick those on, when you've cut them out, you could put some tin foil on there, or some wrapping paper from some of your Christmas chocolates if you want, some nice gold foil, or some glitter glue, or you can leave them as they are. Again, you decorate them how you want. Send us your pictures, let us know what you've done. But there we are. There's baby Jesus, ready to place or stick onto your nativity.
I don't know whether to stick all my figures down or leave them loose. What will you do?
It's up to you whether you fix them permanently or whether you leave them loose. I think if you're going to fix them permanently, there are certain pieces that really need to go in specific places. But again, that's only my preference. You put them where you like. I think the crib with Jesus goes best roughly in the middle of where the light straw is on the floor patch. You'll see it there. And if you stick Jesus down right in the middle of the straw, you won't go far wrong for positioning, because with Joseph nearby and Mary tucked in behind, you still see the donkey, and that's quite a good central position for him. He's also pretty much below the star, which sort of is traditional. Now there are a couple of other characters that are optional as to where you put them, but I've got a bit of a preference. And one of those is this tiny little child here. I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl, but they've got a very little baby lamb. Now you can do what I've done here and stick this one onto a base and have it movable and placeable anywhere. But I quite like popping this child in behind this fence. So we don't put a stand on. I've cut a couple out there. Talk about being over prepared. If you don't cut the white piece off the bottom, it's the perfect height for slotting in there. and standing in by that fence. And I just think that's a very nice place for that little child. So I'm going to pop some glue on the back and the front actually, and just slide it in between the fence and the post and give it a little squeeze. And that's quite a nice place for that one to stay. Of course, don't be ruled by me. Do it your way and put it wherever you like. That's all good. But I quite like that one there. There are a couple of other characters that just seem to fit in certain places, and that's our shepherds. Now these two are pretty much transposable. You can either pop these two in the door with this shepherd outside watching, or you can pop these two just outside the door with that one in the doorway watching. And I do tend to glue those down one way or the other. They seem to sort of want to live there. Now this shepherd is actually made of 2 pieces. You'll find them all in your dump file and they're glued together. Now if I just do that, you will see how we glued them together. Sorry about that, I'll just pop them back together again with a bit more glue. They came as 2 separate parts. You marry them up, you've got a pair of old shepherds kneeling together. That's quite a fairly traditional thing in the nativity scene, a couple of elderly shepherds. So we're going to pop those back in there. Of course, this is another one that came in 2 parts. You'll find the upper part of this shepherd and the sheepdog, and the lower part, 2 different sheets. You'll find them in your dump file, and you'll know how to put them together because the picture overlaps. So have fun, that's another jigsaw puzzle one. He's quite a large character, and he tends to sort of fit quite well tucked in on that edge there, because he doesn't get too much in the way if he's put there. Another one who seems to have a set place for me is the little boy and this tall shepherd here. Now the little boy goes particularly well, I think, just tucked in against the edge of the stable there with the cow. This shepherd is tall. Now he's quite useful. Although this is quite strong, we can use him to go there, glue him to that beam, glue him to the floor, and he helps support the stable a little bit more. So if you're going to stick him down permanently, because he's so tall, that's quite a nice place to put him. So I'm going to put him in permanently, because otherwise he's so tall it's difficult to know where to put him. But he's very useful as a roof supporter. So we'll stick him there, onto the floor, we'll pinch him to the beam, right next to the cat. Looks like the cat might take a little swipe out the top of his head, but not really, because this cat's very sleepy. And that is now supporting the model. So that's a good place for that one. And of course when the kings arrive, don't forget to take them away from up on the hill, because they've arrived. And we'll pop them in. Kneeling one nearest the crib, other one a bit further away. You can swap these around, the order's not important. You can go anywhere you like really. Stagger them in wherever you want. They're probably the ones that are going to be the most movable, because you'll probably bring those in and out. And that looks like it's it. That's all our figures. You can of course swap your Mary over for the one with the baby, in which case if you put that one in, don't forget to take the baby out. But we'll leave him there for now. And for your basic model, that's it, except for all the little animals. Now in your dump file, and all those little bits of paper you've got left, you're going to find lots of chickens, rabbits, mice, a partridge. There is actually a partridge in a pear tree somewhere on here if you look closely enough around the back. There's a partridge, chickens, as I say, lots of animals, rabbits. You put those wherever you like.
Hello! For our finale, we've changed seats.
Which means I get to sit by the lovely Christmas tree.
And we've changed jumpers.
Although somebody had to go and add tinsel. Right, let's have a look at our bonus sheets.
Richard,
Our bonus sheets.
Richard,
What?
I've still got something left in my dump file.
Oh yes, I expect you have too. There shouldn't be anything left in there now. We've made a bit of a mistake. Right, I'll let you take that. And I'll bring this chappy in. Doesn't that look bare now? Right. Well, just like we added some sheep to this wall to stabilise it, There's also this little fella that you'll find you've got left that goes on this wall to stabilise this side, which it needs because it's got to take the weight of heavy old Gabriel.
Hang on, I'm not that heavy.
I never said you were.
I've been to Slimming World.
Yeah. Okay. Right, so we'll pop some glue on this little chap. He's got a little tab on the bottom, and he's got a bit of building that corresponds to this building here. So we just pop him on, we line the doorway up, we line up the building, match up the picture, a bit of puzzling, stick him to the base, and you'll find that's now a lot stronger. So there we are. We've corrected what we're doing, and we're going to leave this one here because it's going to be much easier to see what we do with our bonus pieces on this empty model. So that worked out rather well. That was a happy accident.
I like that.
Right, shall I start cutting out the bonus sheets?
I think so.
Did I say bonus sheets?
I think so.
Shall we get our bonus sheets and show them? Here they are then. The bonus sheets. We nearly rescued that.
No, but I did not.
Should we leave that in? Let's leave that in. Because you know what? I need a shave now. We've been at this for so long. This has been so many days. But we finally got here to the stage where we can tell you we've got our bonus sheets. Just leave it in.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go and do some cutting out. Let's have all that. Have all that.
I think that would be
Just leave it in.
hysterical. People will realise how bad it is.
But I think I want to go and put that in now, see what it looks like. So we just dump it straight onto the computer and have a look. I'm going to take this off. This is hot and scratchy. Oh, I'll put the kettle on. Let's put that straight on and look at it. Oh my goodness me. Now I know we've done it.
More tea, Vicar?
Thank you. I bet you don't get to say that very often.
Oh, no, I wish I did. A bit more often would be nice.
Lovely. Well, we've recovered now. And we're going to show you what the bonus pieces do. Right, I'll slide that over there. I've got the innkeeper side. So you've got the ground and the back wall for the innkeeper and a fence. And when you've glued that back wall in there, it will join onto this building, join together. And your fence will just tuck in behind the stone stump. We've left the other bits off so you can see a bit more clearly. It goes in behind the stone stump and joins, and the innkeeper is just tucked in behind the wall. Add a few chickens and that side's done. It's quite a simple little side, that one. And David's got the other side.
And this one is a beautiful little piece that comes in at this side and can be glued to the back. It's got Jerusalem and a lovely solitary little camel there, just that you'd find in Jerusalem. But extra special. At the moment, that's perfect for when the shepherds are there, but there, travelling in the distance, we've got the three kings. But when they've left their journey and they've arrived at the manger, we need them to come along here. And so here they are, coming along, and they drop in here, and that solitary little camel has now turned into two camels and a horse.
So it's a lone camel in the first part, and we pretend it's the other camel in the second part. You can decide which version you want. If you don't want them there, you just slip them off again and pop the kings back on. Go on, put it back in the hole again. It's interactive, but David's having trouble. Did you manage?
It's hard at my age.
I know, we don't care anymore. We're so tired now. How many days? Never. Lovely. So now we're going to cut the pieces out. There's a good chance you're all quite familiar with this bonus sheet already. We've seen a bit of it before because it's got the angels on that's gone on your sky for the diorama. So we'll set that one aside for the moment. Let's have a look at this one. Now this one you haven't seen much of. This one has the camels and the innkeeper and all the parts you need for that. You'll need to do some scoring along the bottoms of the grounds. There are some scores marked on the fence and some scores marked on the camel. You'll get the hang of where they are. Let's go ahead and look at the pieces when they're cut out. Right, there's the background for the camel, and there's the background for the innkeeper. Now what I've done is I've already stuck the floor pieces for those onto some cardboard, because you'll need just to strengthen those up. One layer of cereal box card will do, because we're going to cut those out and stick them onto our diorama, which obviously has got a nice firm base. So you'll need a firm base before you go ahead and stick the wall pieces to the base and to the already existing diorama. So you'll just need to strengthen up those two pieces only and cut them out. Apart from that, everything else will do as it comes off the sheet on the single paper. So there we are, we've got those two. We've got the fence for the innkeeper. Now this will just need a bit of a fold and a crease along all those little folds, in and out, like we say. Bend all your folds backwards and forwards, that way they'll be nice and flexible and you can decide where they're going. Usual drill, you know it by now with tabs, you know what to do with fold lines. This should be second nature to you now you've got this far in the model build. That will go on your background and that wraps around the wall, and we'll show you that in a minute. And our camels are a little bit more tricky because they come in several parts. We've got those parts there like that, and our camel, here he is. And again, if we do the folds, it'll all become quite clear. There we are. What we do with our camel, once it's stuck to the diorama and stuck to the floor, is we match this pillar to that pillar, and we'll just glue that onto there, duplicating what we've got. It's another bit of puzzle work. We'll glue that on there and we'll just stand the camel away from the wall, so we create a little bit of a gap, and we'll glue it there on the diorama. That lets us slip our other pieces on. Here's one that's complete, it's two parts glued together. That, as David shows you, just slots over onto the camel. We put the hump of the camel into the pocket that we create to slide the other animals in behind, and it looks like this camel is standing on this side of the wall and that camel and the horse are on the other side of the wall, but it looks like they're all there because we've got the travel rug on this camel, and that's what joins them together. So to do that, to create that little pocket, you have these two parts and this part, which is the travel rug. Now you'll see the design is matched on both pieces. You can see where it goes, it just blends itself over, but you obviously don't want to put any glue in the middle. If you put glue in the middle, you won't be able to use it the way it's intended. So a little dollop of glue just around the edge of our line, turn this one over, pop a tiny amount on the edge, and that will just help create our pocket. So we put the two together, match the design, there you go. And you should let that dry for a little bit really, but we're going to go ahead and slip that onto our camel and show you how it works. Now what you've done is you've created that pocket, and there's a little flap which helps you guide yourself in with the camel's hump. The camel's hump goes into the pack and the two parts blend together. I wouldn't put them together while the glue's still wet. Let the glue dry so that that doesn't get stuck on there. That way you'll be able to take it in and out when you want to. So we've got Bethlehem camel or the king's camels and the horse, you decide. But you can do that by setting that away from the wall and leaving yourself a little bit of room just to get those in and out. So that's that side. There is a bonus, a double bonus. If you end up with both the sheets, you'll notice on this piece there's an extra part that doesn't belong with these two pieces, the frill or the angels. Now that's because it wouldn't squeeze onto this sheet. So if you've got both, or you've got a friend that's going to share parts with you, this will join onto the top there like a jigsaw puzzle. Just move it down. So when you join to your diorama, it just completes the shape and joins the sky. It just makes a slightly more pleasing finish than if you haven't got that extra piece. So if you're lucky enough to end up with both bonus sheets, or a friend lends you this piece, gives you this piece because they don't want it, you'll be able to do that, join that together, and it just makes everything look a little prettier in the finish. But if you haven't got this, it doesn't matter, that's quite good enough. It's quite nice, and there are some chickens and things you can stick on here to put extra animals on. So don't worry, with or without that piece, it's quite pretty. So now let's go, we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick these parts onto our base. Okay, let's go ahead and prepare our pieces for joining onto the diorama. We've got the two pieces here which we stuck on cardboard. This is the camel side, so let's go ahead and cut it out. Now I've left a little bit of extra cardboard on the front there because we might be able to fill that in with some of the loose pieces that we've got left over from our dump pack. As you'll see, if you're cutting out as you go along, there are a few bits of spare ground knocking about on the other sheets. If you haven't thrown those away, these will come in quite useful if you've got the extra bonus sheets. So we're going to take the camel and we'll take the camel wall. It's going to join on there. Let's take the camel wall with a picture. And you'll see that there's a window in this building here and a window on this piece which just join up and let you do some jigsaw puzzling. Now you will cover up your sheep. If you put your sheep on already, which you should have done, you'll cover up half your sheep. It doesn't matter, because when that piece goes in front, it will cover over that anyway, and you won't see that you've lost the sheep. But you use that as your registration point to line your windows up. So if I now stand it up, we can see where the ground needs to be. It needs to stick out that far. So we're going to go ahead and stick our ground onto our diorama. This piece is already on double cardboard, this piece is now on single cardboard, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to go ahead and pop a bit of glue onto our base, again coloured glue so you can see, and we're going to stick that onto there. Now you just want to perhaps make that curve complete, so use some of these bits and pieces that you've got from your other sheets just to do a little montage, get creative, do some joining in. They're all the same sort of colour. Just go ahead and patch in some ground with the bits and bobs that you've got left over. Hopefully you saved them. We didn't tell you that during the 2.5 hours of this video. We didn't mention that, but I'm sure you'll have realised to save everything to your dump file. And if you have, just get creative with those bits. It hasn't got to be complete. You can stick a chicken and something on there to cover up any little joints, but that just helps to fill in the ground that's missing. So then we would go ahead and stick our wall to that. So here's our wall. We'll put some glue on the back of the wall just along that edge there where it joins. We've got some glue on the ground. We'll pop that on like that. Let's have a look from the top angle. There we are. We're just matching the window of our building, doing our jigsaw puzzling like that. And as I say, if you're lucky enough to have the extra piece, go ahead and put some glue on the bottom of it and just on the edge of it there, and you can now do some extra jigsaw puzzling. Told you there'd be a lot of puzzle work on this little endeavour, and just match that up to what's already there. And you'll now see, if you've got both the bonus sheets or a friend shares with you, you've got a nice little finish to your diorama there. It just gives it a bit more of a pleasant curve. With or without it, it does work, but with it's extra special. There we are. So now we'd go and put our camel onto the background, and like I said, a bit of glue on that fence that's going to match. Glue, as always, on the tabs. And now we line up and duplicate our little post there. Put the post onto the post. Jigsaw puzzling again, duplicating the picture. Once that's stuck on, stand it up again, and we'll just put our camel out from the wall a little way. And that's perfect for letting us slide our camels onto the top. So that's doing the camel side. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same on the innkeeper side. We've already shown you what the pieces look like put together and where they go, but now let's do it properly with the right pieces. And again, we've got to cut our ground out. Right, that will then go onto there. We might just nick a little piece out there where the stone wall is. You're capable of making your own little cheats at this stage. You've done so much cutting out and sticking, you'll be a pro. And you'll be able to just make it up as you go along very soon. You won't need instructional videos that are 3 hours long. Right, so we're just going to glue that onto there. I've glued the piece, but we could also glue the ground. There we are. We're going to tuck that into there, and we've just basically extended our diorama just an inch or two on that side. And again, if you've got any leftover bits and pieces from the other sheets, you could perhaps use one of those, pop it in, just do a little bit of creative mosaicing on the ground just to join everything together. Put a little piece there just to patch it all together. You can pop chickens and rats and rabbits onto that piece and fill up those little gaps. Actually, the shepherd's going to go there anyway, so that'll cover the joins. But you've got your ground now that you need to put your innkeeper wall in. Here's your innkeeper wall. We're just going to score. It's been scored. Score the flap on the bottom. And you will see again, there's some jigsaw puzzling to do. It matches the building. It all lines up. even though you've got your sheep there already and you're covering up some of your sheep, the doorway is still there to make a positive join to. If you're really clever and you know you've got the bonus sheet, you could leave that sheep off till later. You could put that bit on first and then put the sheep in over the top. It doesn't really matter, the wall's going to cover it. But let's go ahead and jigsaw puzzle that piece in. Bit of glue on the bottom, bit of glue on the side, and we're just going to pop it into place. There we are. Match up the building, match up the door. Bearing in mind, of course, Gabriel is sticking out from the top normally. We've left him off just to make this easier. There we are. We've put our little piece in place and we're ready for our innkeeper's wall. This is all concertinery. We're going to go ahead and put some glue on the flaps at the bottom to stand it up, our little tabs. And we're going to glue on the end there, and we're going to glue the front here where it says behind stump. Now what you want to do is just glue that in behind your stone stump. We've left off the pillar, we've left off everything that's in the way. Glue that there, wibble wobble your wall around till you get to the end, and when you get to the end, just tuck that fold where it says wrap around the back. Wrap it round the back of your diorama wall, stick it on there first, and now just jiggle your pieces into position however you think they look nice. There's no rules here, just do a wibbly wobbly line, find out where it meets your diorama and press it all down. Whatever shape you take with your wall, you will have created a little pocket in there, and that's where the innkeeper will slot in. Here he is. He hasn't got any legs, because he's only designed to go in this one spot and we're running out of space on the paper. Leave that little bit on, it'll help you. Don't cut his paper off below his tummy. Once we tuck him in there, he'll be about the right height, just to glue either to the wall or to the wall in front or the wall behind. Actually, there's enough glue on that already, it's taken him, it's tacked him down, he's in position. There he is with his lamp, coming to have a look, see everything's all right. He's tucked in behind his wall. That's a very easy piece for that diorama. Put some chickens in, put some animals in, and you're done. So now you've got the innkeeper extending on one side, you've got the camels extending on the other. So your whole piece has now become a very wide diorama. That's what you can do with that bonus sheet. Okay, so we're back to the bonus sheet you're a bit more familiar with. These pieces will have gone if you've used them, so we're just down to the others. If you've done the diorama and you've managed to put the cockerel on top of that post with the robin, you'll have used that as well, which only leaves these pieces, which are a bit unusual, and our fences. So let's go ahead and assume we've cut those out. Let's save ourselves some time. There's our fences. There's that decorative piece, a couple of pillars, and a Merry Christmas, which we do, of course, wish you wholeheartedly. We hope you're having fun doing our little Advent project. End of November, beginning of December. You'll probably still be doing it on Christmas Eve, but we hope you're all right. Now, these pieces go together to make a very long ribbon that will go all the way along the front of your diorama if you build it up on corrugated cardboard, which we'll show you in a minute. You'll be aware, if you've got the basic model, it's the size that you started with when you first cut out your base. If you've gone ahead and put the innkeeper on and the camels, your model is much bigger, and you're going to need a lot bigger ribbon, a couple of inches longer probably. So we've done this so you can adjust the fit of these parts. Also, let's be honest, we couldn't get them all on one piece of paper, so you're going to have to join them together whatever happens, but there's a couple of ways of doing that. Take your Merry Christmas, don't trim it too much, leave all those bits of blue on, and you can pop your pillars on either side. Try not to cover up too much of the Merry Christmas. In fact, don't cover the words up at all, but try not to waste any space. Get the maximum you can out of that pattern, because every few millimeters really helps with making your ribbon nice and long. Again, come out as far as you can, don't waste any of that green, and stick your two little pillars on. Now, if you're only doing the basic model, that will be wide enough. You can go ahead and take your fences and join them. Now, there's no rules here. You can have the wood first, blending into the rock, or you can join them in such a way that it's rock at the front, blending into the wood. It's up to you. I prefer the wood because there's a lot of rock on the patterns at the back of the diorama, and this tends to blend into them. So let's assume we're going the wooden way. We would glue those onto there like that on both sides and we're done. If, however, you've got the extra wide model now with the Innkeeper, you're going to want a little bit of extra length. So if you cut this piece in half, you can now use this as an extender piece just to give you that extra length to make your model big enough. So you only want a little bit of glue on the last little edge of that because you want every millimetre of that to count. Pop that together on there. Do the same on the other side. You can see now why it's worth working on a piece of newspaper, because you'll get very messy table otherwise. Stick that to there, and that's given us a little bit of extra space. Now you can go on, pop your walls on, wood first or stone first, it's up to you. And again, get every scrap of that pattern to count, join it only at the very last minute, and you'll have a nice long cake decoration type ribbon to put around the edge of your model. A little tip, once you've done that, leave it to dry nice and strongly, otherwise it might break apart because you've got very weak joints there. Or you could turn it over and pop a bit of sellotape on the back just to give you the extra strength now if you're too impatient to not want to put it on your model right away. We're going to pop this on our model right away. David and I are going to make you the corrugated base now.
Hello!
I think that's what they do on Blue Peter. Nobody out there's going to be old enough to remember how.
Or why?
Yeah, it's turned out to be a bit of a long video. We're sorry about that. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Considering it's nearly Christmas.
It's not lasted that long. It's longer than the movie Titanic, I think.
Yeah, it's nearly as long as Gone with the Wind.
No, because no one's had sprouts yet.
Cheeky.
Right, now we're going to have a look at putting the model on a corrugated base so that we can go ahead and wrap our cake decoration type ribbon around the front just to finish it off. So, he said again for the 1000th time, so, you could count the so's in this video, there'd be rather a lot. Now, that's the corrugated base, 3 or 4 layers of cardboard. What you've got so far, obviously you've got your base on a couple of layers of cereal box card, and we're going to turn it into one of these. Now David's got the standard model, which is, yes, it's the same size obviously as this piece. If you've got the bonus sheets and you've got the deluxe size model.
Is that the one with the Camels and the Innkeeper?
It is indeed.
Right.
You can see it's a good bit wider. So if you're doing this one onto corrugated card, you're going to need 3 or 4 bits of quite big cardboard to do it. You'll probably find them at the supermarket, fruit trays and things, they'll let you have them. They usually throw them out. So we're going to go ahead and sort out how we do that. Whichever size you've got, the routine is the same. You take your base, you put it onto your cardboard, and you go ahead and you mark an outline around your piece of cardboard so you know where you're going to cut. So we've got one for you, we've got one for me, and here's one
I prepared earlier.
Right, so let's cut our pieces out. Got some scissors? On your marks,
Get set.
go! Done. Seriously though, it's not a race, is it, David?
Certainly not.
So it doesn't matter how long it takes you to do it. This whole project is about enjoying the journey, not the destination. So there we are. There's our stack. It'll work perfectly well with 3, slightly better with 4, but whichever you've got, we're going to have to glue those together. Now you don't want to waste a lot of your glue. You pop them on there. I'll take one off and we'll show you. You only want a few blobs of this glue on there because you don't want to waste a lot of your Pritt stick doing this. It doesn't need it. Then we'll pop that one on top. If you take the other one, we'll do the same again. We'll just put a few blobs of glue. Now this isn't going to hold it terribly, but it'll just tack it in place. You don't want to waste a lot of glue doing this. It's a shame to do that. So now if I give that to you, There's a trick to holding that together. You can put a few strips of sellotape around it. That will do the job. But if you haven't got any sellotape, and there's no reason why you should, cereal box card, we know we've got that. Cut some strips, cut some pieces off, pop some glue on there, and you can use that like sellotape or a great big bandage. Pop it round all your layers of corrugated cardboard, let it stick, and if you put a few of those round, that's going to hold the whole sandwich together. Once it's dried, obviously.
You could use the bulldog clip from earlier if you've got a big one.
Yeah, you could use a bulldog clip. And then we'll put the frill, you turn it around, pop it on the table. Once that's done, more glue on here, find the middle and wrap your ribbon around your base, and that will give you a lovely finish. You can pop that on with Pritt Stick. Again, like before, you'll just have to hold it for a little while the glue has time to set.
Is there another way that you could get this to reattach then?
Well, if you're in a household where they've got crafters, or your grown-ups have got a hot glue gun, then yes, you could get a grown-up to stick that round with a hot glue gun, but not everyone's going to have those. Quite a few people do these days have hot glue guns, but not everybody. You don't have to. So the Pritt Stick will stick that quite well. Are we sponsored yet by Pritt Stick?
No, but I'm working on it.
Good. If you can let us have a few, that would be lovely. We can send them out with the packs to all our children. I'd like that, wouldn't they, in the diocese?
I think so.
I think they would. Go on, Pritt. Go on, Pritt. Send us some glue. Have we begged enough now?
I think so.
Right, David's got one that's finished. And as you can see, the extra depth and the frill round the front finishes it all off rather nicely.
I think that looks lovely.
I think it looks lovely too. Well, we hope you've managed to stick with us all through this very long video, and that it's let you make yourself your very own Walsall Wood paper nativity. Oh, tell them what's in the description box, David.
Well, down below you'll find out how to get in touch if you want to get hold of one of these yourselves. And also, if you've completed one, you can send us a photograph of all the wonderful work that you've done. You'll also find out details of how to contact St John's Church, Walsall Wood, and see all that's going on there.
Well, there's only one thing left to say, and that's to wish you
A very Merry Christmas.